success with Global.Media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com. Let's celebrate it with or without champagne.
Yay. We're back, Paulette. We're back again.
We're back. Hello.
LinkedIn's taking time to start, but it's all right. It will start because we're here. Okay, I'm waiting a second. I don't know what. Okay, now we're live. Yay, we're live.
Yay.
Carrie, I see you. Welcome. If anyone else who's here, please drop us a comment. Say where you're joining us from. Say hi. Say something so we know you're here and then we can welcome you properly. How are you doing, Paulette?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. My throat's still a bit dodgy, so I'm still prone to losing my voice, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Listen, it took the Pope a million gazillion people, so I don't know why. I thought I was going to get over it so quickly.
Yeah, so that's one nice.
All of them praying.
Some illnesses take longer than others, I guess.
Yeah, they said 3 months. So 3 months could be 3 months, you know.
And we are getting into summer, so that's good. Philip, welcome.
Hi, Philip.
The man with compassion. Thank you so much.
Love the hat, by the way. I meant to say that before.
He always wears interesting hats. Carrie, welcome as well.
Hi,
good joke today, Carrie. I laughed. I did laugh.
Yes,
so.
it was good, Mum.
Any's anywhere. Yes, any's anywhere and everywhere, Carrie. Well, that's when they let me show my face.
Lovely,
Otherwise,
Carolyn. Hi, Carolyn.
Hello, Carolyn. And we've got Michelle in the studio. So I'll bring you on stage. You don't feel so left out. Welcome. It's a huge topic today, right? Huge. It's a huge topic. I put my hand up and say I know nothing at all. So I was talking to my son the other day, Paulette, and I don't know why I read the Daily Mail. I did. That's a free paper on my phone. And yeah, I find myself reading this article about what does it mean to be red-pilled. I'm like, red-pilled? I have no. Then you sort of realize the whole world of emojis. We haven't got a clue, Paulette. I haven't got a clue. I'm not going to pretend I know. I don't know. But I say that very openly. And when I say to people, please comment on my posts with words. I don't know what those emojis mean. I have no clue. You might think it's obvious to us, but it's just not. But I guess that's the good side of emojis, Paulette, right? There's the other side of emojis that's not so good, the sinister side. And our conversation today, my friends, is about the sinister emojis that are out there. We have a show for you. So we have a show for you, number one, and then also we have a special guest who is a true genius at the sinister emojis. It's so good. Mr. Amit has created a periodic table of sinister emojis, which is doing the rounds. But let's tell him that he's on New York Times today. So this periodic table of emojis, sinister emojis, has gone far and wide. It's been on our TV in the UK, in our papers, and now it's doing rounds around the world. So it's a big topic. And rather than me tell you about the topic, I'll let Paulette tell you why you should care, because you should care. We should all care. We'll have to care. So before I give you the mic, Paulette, let's welcome Dr. Roxana. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Roxana,
thank you for coming.
Your book, you say your passive income book, I've started it, so I should finish it like I always do, right?
Thank you, Jason, for coming.
Jason never comes to your events, right?
Thank you.
Jason never comes to my events.
Because I'm special.
You are special.
I'm special. Remember that.
Welcome,
so
Linda.
I think also the topic is, Linda, hi, lovely to see you there.
The
topic today is so serious.
I know Mr. Hodge. I've met him a couple of times, I think, right? But he doesn't come to my events ever. He only comes to yours. because you are
This
special.
is
I
called
agree.
the gloaty face. This is gloaty emoji.
It's all right. It's all right. Welcome, Michelle. I
Oh,
know
it's
our topic
Jackie's
is
here
very
as
nice.
well. Hi, Jackie.
Sorry, Jackie. Yeah, that's my bad. So I know the topic is nice. It's important to you. This resonates with you. So I'm glad you're here.
Mm.
Dr. Lisa. Yay. Welcome, Dr. Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. Dr.
Welcome, Dr. Lisa.
Lisa.
Yes. Yeah. She called you Dr. Lisa. Don't blame me.
I
It was
did.
her.
Dr.
It was
Lisa.
her.
That's it. That's the new name.
It was her. No, and she's Dr. Lisa.
I'm manifesting for when she gets it. That's all.
She's there. She's between a master's and a doctor. So
She's
and
very close. She's got
so
one leg in the doctor pool, and she just won't
yes,
jump the other leg yet.
yes,
Yes,
she will do. She's there already with her
she will.
genius. So
She will.
she's
She's
like,
a
you lot, shut
genius.
up, stop talking about me, leave me alone. No, Lisa, you are the
Yeah.
legend. Thanks
We
for
love
joining us.
you.
Right, Caroline says, I know about the hearts and what the hearts and poo mean. I don't know what the hearts and poo mean, Caroline. This is such a bafflement.
Poo is poop and heart is love. That's an easy one. But that's the sinister one. Oh my gosh, it's horrendous.
No, I think you are oversimplifying it, Paulette. There's at least 7 hearts, different colors, at least, and they all mean different
Yeah.
things. Right?
No.
They all mean different things. I didn't know that. And then as I'm going to show you, there's a complexity that devices bring these days, Paulette. I'm sure you haven't thought about, right? Now, the new iPhone lets you stack emojis onto each other. See,
Yeah.
we're used to one emoji at a time, one emoji that says something, and another emoji. Now you can basically stack them to say sentences. I never knew. Well, we live and learn, my friends. Let's learn today. That way we can better protect our kids, maybe ourselves. Yes, Lisa, I'm trying to get to you. Thank you, Paulette. Love you. Still blaming you, Annie. Of course. What's new, right? What's new? I hope that our starvation by tomorrow. If I die of starvation by tomorrow, then that'll be good.
You're
Right?
gonna eat a body weight in steak tonight. That's why.
No, seriously, I'm gonna eat all night. Might just defeat the whole point, but I have to eat, right? I am starving. If my belly grumbles, I'll tell you all about it. How's that? So, superstar, another doctor, Melissa is here. Thank you so much, Super Coach Melissa. Glad you're here. Of course, if you want to join the studio, my friends, the link is on the event page in the comments
Hi,
section.
Melissa. Lovely to see you.
And if you want me to send you the link to your DM directly, let me know. To Parveen, we do see you, my friend. I'm glad you're here.
Yes, thank you.
So, Paulette, let me stop talking. I've talked way too much. Let's hear you. What's your take on the topic, Paulette?
So the situation I have is that I believe that when you are in the dark, and I mean in the dark, literally in the dark, as in we don't know what's going on. When we are in a room with somebody speaking a language you don't understand, you are completely paralyzed because you don't know what they're saying. You might, because you can physically see them, be able to read their face to some degree, but that's as far as it goes. Emoji language is something completely new, certainly new to me. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know about the poop emoji and the love heart emoji, and as any just commented, you can stack emojis and whatever, and people make whole sentences out of emojis, like the normal words, I love you, and you're, I don't know, your big bottom, and you put the peach emoji at the bottom or whatever, something like that. Those kind of emojis are funny and they're humorous, and they have a very, not necessarily always joyous, because sometimes if someone says you're a poop or something, that's not so good. But you know what I'm saying? There are normal emojis. What has happened is there has become a underworld of emojis, and the underworld of emojis are sinister, and they are dark, and they are very, very damaging. And Amit Singh, who's going to be on very shortly, has designed a periodic table. That's how it all started, of emojis, and saying to teachers, to parents, to anyone who works with children, are you aware of this different language? And if you aren't aware of it, you should be. And he's produced this periodic table. I'll just show it. I've got it in black and white because I'm a cheapskate. But it's gone all over our country. It's been nationally. It's
Should I
on
show
every
it to you?
newspaper.
Should I
Yes,
show you?
please.
Should
Yeah,
I show it that way they can
please.
get
Yeah,
a proper view?
yeah, and you can
You
show
know,
it when Amit's here too.
I'm sure
Yeah,
you know what a periodic table is, right? Now, elements
yeah,
organized according to number of atoms. But so this nice, it's the same format. So the emojis are grouped together. You can see on the left-hand side, there's drugs emojis, the violence emojis, the sex emojis, the self-harm emojis, the extremism emojis. I mean, this man's done amazing work. Incel emojis. You know,
yeah.
if you were thinking this is a small topic, and you know emojis, I bet you're baffled now, right? Totally
Right,
baffled.
exactly, absolutely. And the thing
Yes.
is that if you saw some emojis on your child's phone, and the emojis look harmless, right? They're just harmless emojis. But what they're really doing is telling your child to cut itself or kill itself or send us a picture of this, that, or the other. And the reason that Amit was drawn to do this was because he's become aware of just how deep this has gone and how frequently it's being used. Now, as a parent of a 21-year-old, he said to me, "Oh yeah, I've known about it. Don't use it, but I've known about it." So I said, "Well, how long has it been around?" He said, "Not that long, probably 6 months to a year. It's really come into its own." The problem with it is that we thought we could, at least if we had hold of our child's phone in our hand and we read a whole string of emojis, we thought we knew what that meant. We thought we understood that it meant X, Y, and Z. But if we don't know what the dark, sinister side of those emojis is, then how can we really understand what's being said, what's being suggested? So now we're not only we thought if we had access to their phones, we could protect them. I'm saying now with this really dark, sinister side of emojis, it's a whole new world. And so I can't tell you how glad I am that Amit agreed to come on today, because this is all blown up over the weekend. It's gone viral over the weekend, and we're the first people to interview and chat to him. So, well done us for getting him on here. And, when he comes on, I really want him to be able to talk to you guys and answer your questions as best he can. And he's, really very, very willing and happy to do so. So I'm going to be quiet for a bit. I'm going to let Michelle and two Michelles. And I know, Pavin, you have to go, don't you? You have another meeting. Do you want
Yes.
to speak first? Would you like to speak first? Because I know you have to go on to another meeting.
Yeah, I think just very quickly, for example, if you go to Snapchat, and as you would know, on Snapchat, the whole rise on fentanyl addiction is very high over there, and drug dealers are using Snapchat to communicate with young people using all these different sets of emojis. And for example, the maple leaf emoji on Snapchat basically means, say, like cannabis. And what you want to be aware, but on a gaming platform, that same maple leaf would mean something else. So again, on different platforms, these emojis are interchangeable. They're kind of used not in the same way, just because the way young people communicate across platforms very differently. And I tried joining some Discord group that basically sort of masculine groups I didn't see any emoji sort of coming up in those groups. But then, on Snapchat, again, they're used very differently. So I would say that it's good to be aware on, how teenagers basically communicate online. But don't take it like, if you do see this on your child's phone, that it actually means this. You have to look into the bigger picture here. Where are they actually using it? What's the context? Which platform? Who is it with? Again, it's just looking at the internet as a place. It's not a thing. It's where your child go, explore, learn, meet people. That's just how the internet is. So just don't take blatantly, if you see, if you see a chatty emoji, that means they're talking about breasts. It doesn't have to mean that. So kind of look at the bigger picture, zoom out to actually get an understanding what it actually means. And the last thing I would say before I have to go is that it's very easy to get so scared about all of this, because it feels like a foreign language altogether for all of us, for parents who's trying to navigate this. But at the end of the day, it's almost impossible trying to understand each and every single word and each and every single slang and hashtags and all these terms that they use. And the best way is to build that trust and connection with your child, rather than trying to decode all of this one by one. But be aware. It's always good. Awareness is always good. But don't try to break your head over this, but just try to build a real trust and connection with your child, and let them come and talk to you about what all of this means, than trying to decode it yourself.
I agree.
Absolutely, 100%. Communication is absolutely everything, and we need to teach our children that they can trust us. I think that's the key. We are supposed to be a safe space. We are supposed to be a safe place, and children should feel able and comfortable to ask and talk to us. And I think, like you just said, Praveen, if we can get to that stage, they'll tell us what the words mean. They'll ask us to help them with this problem, as opposed to us trying to decode things. But it's really useful to understand just how horrendous things have got out there.
Yeah. Always good to know.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Praveen is
So,
extremely
I
busy, but I grabbed a quick.
Yeah, thank you for
I got the
joining us.
opportunity to grab you. Thank you.
Yeah,
I really
thank you.
appreciate
I
it.
hope
You're
you
a
have a
super-
very nice discussion, and hopefully I can join you all at the next one, where I can actually sit through the whole thing. Thank you so much.
Lovely.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye, lovely.
So, right.
So I wanted to get... Go on.
No, I'll let you go on. Ladies first.
I was going to say, well, that's a first. Call me a lady. What emoji is that? So the thing that I was trying to say is, I really agree with is, if we can have a situation where we have an open communication with our children or our grandchildren or a teacher, parent, whatever it is, communication is key. The more open that line of communication is, the more chance you've got of actually getting to the stage of understanding what these things together, and them telling you, I'm being told this, I'm being asked this, or whatever. Because at the end of the day, if they were going to use words, the only reason these people aren't using words is because words we understand. They're using this because it's a cover up for something. But we want our kids to come to us and tell us it's a cover up, right? That's what's important. And for me, from a therapy perspective, and I'd be very keen to get Michelle Whiteside's view on this, because there's two things here. One, we have to understand that the damage that could be caused to children, this is bullying, this is taking things to a whole new level that a child might not want to come and tell you about. It's 24/7 because it's on their phone. It's in their bedroom, it's in their house, it's in their hand. They can't escape it. So that's why I have got more upset than probably I normally would, because when I read it, I thought, oh my gosh, people can't get away from it, right? So that's the thing that's really set my head going. Michelle Whiteside, what do you think?
Yes. So, this topic is actually kind of but surprisingly enough with my teens and so forth new, but I'll tell you what happened to me, which is really interesting, is there was some comments, not really bullying, but kind of my eyelashes, my lips, whatever, on one of the big sites here in my town. It's the My Town in the Know. And the person, said something derogatory. Someone replied back with, please check this out, this website thing. So I thought, oh, it's about my post. It's going to give me some psychological value. I click on it and it goes to don't be a DICK, right? And I went, wow. So there's like website things that actually say things. Like there's a whole undercurrent, my guess, of an under language, like as you're saying. But I even think it's bigger than that. And how, as educators or as parents, can help navigate that. It's very like a needle in a haystack in a weird way, but being aware of what you see. And if they're your kids, to look at like what's going on, because I think it's really, it's very under the covers. Like I think it's very, it has to be brought to the surface, but how do you find out that that emoji is, you know what I mean? You have to be really abreast. And if you're not with those kids and you're working with them in a school and they're not having that parent involvement, how are you going to help them navigate what that is and that the bullying and how that is to help them? There's almost classes that need to be established around that, not just preventing that, but what happens if? That's my thing. It's like no band-aid, because at the end of the day, it's going to probably happen somewhere. And so we need to know how to navigate those waters and, help with kids emotionally regulating themselves and to know what's really true.
No, it's
Yeah,
true. It's
absolutely.
true. It's true.
Yeah,
This,
that's
you know,
absolutely right.
I think like as Pavin said, the language changes every day, and I think people knowing that we are a bit more clued up. I can imagine they're going to change many of their dictionary of emojis, really. Because if they think adults know what they're talking about, then that's what ruins their fun, right? So Dr. Melissa Houston says, "I'm not a doctor. You are to me. You're a genius. That's a genius. We call doctors in Nigeria, so you can't really beat me up for being respectful to your genius. For your crayons, your concentric circles, all that stuff that you do with your clients, Melissa. You can't shoot me. Welcome, Kifa. Glad you're here as well.
Kifa, hi.
There are a couple. Okay, there are a few good ones. So Paulette just
Oh,
popped in.
Bethan's here. Hi, Bethan.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yes,
Getting there.
Carolyn, I do sleep. Of course, I sleep. MST 8 hours behind us. So I slept from 6 a.m. this morning, 7 a.m. this morning to 11 o'clock to wake up for my show. That's enough sleep for me. Carrie says I don't use emojis. So Jackie says, "Oh my goodness!" Right, Jason, I'm down to get to yours. Right, Jason, there's something called the periodic table of sinister emojis. I'll show you again, Jason.
You got it. There it is.
Here's what it looks like. This is what our special guest that's coming in a couple of minutes has designed. So it tells you exactly what's what. That way you have an idea what these different emojis mean. So it's there. It's there. It's out there in the world. Okay, I'm going to show you a few in, I guess, close-up, if you want to call it that. So let's see what we think we know, right? Okay. Where do I want to start, Paulette? Should I start with sexting or heart emojis? Oh no, where's my heart emojis?
Go sexting.
You want to go sexting? Okay, let's go for that. All right. All you have to do, my friends, make a note. Those in the studio, if you know what it is, tell us what you believe these emojis are, right? There you go. What do these mean? Does anyone know?
I actually just found out what the eggplant's about, and I'm like devastated because it's my favorite vegetable, and so
what does the eggplant mean, Michelle?
Penis.
Doesn't it mean a penis or I okay, because honestly
Penis.
Oh my gosh, just seeing this, I'm not surprised by them actually making a periodic table and doing what they did. It makes total sense. It really does, because they have to find a new way to start doing stuff when once you
because they get
blast one
uncovered.
tunnel, yeah,
Yeah,
another
they
tunnel
get
always
discovered.
opens up. But
Okay, so
Here.
Every time
what?
something gets discovered, that's a peach is a bum, right?
Is it? Okay,
I thought
now
it
you
was a
tell
camel
me.
toe. I don't know.
It is.
yeah,
I haven't got a
you know
clue.
what? Okay, it's got a crack. All right,
Not a
we'll do that.
peachy
We'll do
bum.
a butt.
What's the
We'll do
other
the butt.
one?
I can't see the
Oh
other
no,
one.
sorry, wrong one,
The
wrong one.
the raining one. Oh no, hang
Yeah,
on. The raining one. What's the raining one?
Oh, well,
no,
I
that
don't
is
know what that
nice
one is.
because I love water. Now I can't do a water emoji. I love
Pee.
water. You know what? I've already thought of a cop bot for since you just brought this to me. It's just like all of a sudden my mind just started going, and it's like, oh, we need a bot for this. A police
Well,
bot.
I suppose I say our special guest periodic tables. It's I don't know whether it's automated.
So
I was asking
the
you earlier.
cherries for genitalia.
Oh, okay.
I've got it here in front of me because I'm cheating. And
Okay.
Well, no,
the
that's
other
just not even
one.
right.
The other one,
No,
yeah, the other one. The
That's what and
raindrops.
the other one is an orgasm. So it's bottom, penis, orgasm, genitalia. So that's the sort of stuff now that if we saw that in amongst a conversation from a lad to a girl or whatever, or a guy to a guy, whatever it is, ultimately, if you get a chance to read the conversation before it and you know that it's a sinister or a dodgy, or you are not comfortable with the wording of the way that person is speaking to your child or your young adult, then you have to have an open conversation and go, hey, listen, I don't know about this stuff, but I've heard about it. Make out you're complete, don't understand it, and can you just explain what this means, right? I don't think we can come down heavy-handed, as in, is it because we could be wrong on this particular situation? It could be meant as a joke. So the problem you've got with this
totally.
sinister stuff is you playing it between, is it a joke or is it actually something very sinister? And either way, how do we know?
Yeah. Let me give you an idea. Oh, no, I'm one video short. Amit, I do see you, my friend. I'm glad you were here. We'll definitely come to you in a
Oh,
second.
brilliant.
So I'm glad Paulette and I are extremely glad you're here. So let me show you another one whilst that's loading, in case you're wondering. Heart emojis.
Yeah.
Heart emojis. Oh, look at that. Heart emojis. What do they mean? Anyone know? Carolyn says she knows what the heart emoji means.
Love.
I thought it meant love, but obviously all right. What does it mean?
Well, I don't think love is.
You're so sweet. No, you're so sweet. No, you're about to get a shock of your life. There you go. Look, red pill means something. I say no. The purple heart means something. Honestly, red heart means something else, and it just goes on. Yellow heart means something else.
Oh no, I'm always sending the purple heart.
Right? Oh,
gosh.
I'm slapping some people in their messages. I don't know if I should slap them or be like, hey, what do you need?
In case you missed that,
They get
have
all
a
of
look.
them.
They all mean something. They all mean. I say there's different colors mean
Oh.
something different.
Well, they
Yeah,
only
all right, I
mean
feel
something if
stupid.
the
I
other
got
person knows what they mean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I never know what they mean ever. So I just take it as it's a heart. So that's it. End of. But I'm so wrong.
That's it. No offense taken.
naive.
Yeah.
Look, let's step back a second. As in, there's more. I could show you more, but I think let me give you an idea of
Well,
the
let's go
impact.
to Amit.
hold on. Before we go to Amit to say, I'm going to go to him next. Let's see what the impacts of these emojis are on kids, on one family in particular, right? A minute and a half.
We were just having a normal conversation, and he said to me, "Well, women are gold diggers anyway." And I said, "What women?" And he said, "Just women in general." And I said, "Well, name one woman in our life that is a gold digger." And he said, "Well, I don't know any. Like, that's not the point, it's just women in general." I was like, "Well, it's not just women in general, because you don't know any of them. So, like, that's shouldn't be something that you've bought into when you've seen actually no proof of it. You've literally never experienced this in your entire life." And he was like, "Yeah, well, you know, it was said on this." And then he showed me the video, and I was like, "Do those men look like they've got gold to dig?" And he kind of sat with that for a minute. And then he was like, "Well, it's not the point though, is it?" I says, "The point is, mate, a lot of men who have got money don't mind spending money on their partner, the woman that they love, because it makes her look and feel good, right?"
You know, I guess the point I take from that is that kids are gullible, easily misled, easily led, is probably the thing, and they believe all sorts of rubbish. And you know, so being red pilled apparently I never crossed my mind once what that means. Now I know what it means. Now you know what it means too. You know, it's
I'm devastated.
ridiculous.
I'm honestly devastated about this whole situation.
Don't be devastated.
You know,
Let's be empowered, Michelle. Let's be empowered. Amit, welcome. How are you doing?
Let's be empowered, absolutely.
I'm very good, thank you.
Thank you
for
so
having
much.
me.
Yeah, thank you so much for not only giving us your time, but the first LinkedIn interview you've given. So it's amazing. Listen, I've got this in front of me. We've put it everywhere. We've posted it everywhere. And absolutely with your permission. We do want to talk about plagiarism just before we finish off your time here. But oh my gosh, where did you find out and how did you find out? Because this whole thing, it's like a foreign language, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of my former kind of career in education. So I was a deputy head teacher in an inner city secondary school in East London, and sort of, you know, coming across online language, coming across the way children and young people are communicating with each other online. And then since I left education 3 years ago, and the work that I do now, which is all around supporting parents in the workplace, supporting schools and colleges, and in building an engaged parent community, mainly around the online world, and sort of, it's more than just, you know, here's a list of emojis. It's what do you do as a parent with that list of emojis? How do you have those conversations with your children? How do you make sure those conversations are normalized? How do you make sure those conversations are not one-offs? They are a regular part of your dialogue with your child. So actually, the emojis is just, although it's absolutely gone crazy, and I'm sure we can talk about that, but it's just one part of the most important work. And the most important work is making sure that the conversations we're having with our children are regular. They're all about the online world. They are meaningful. You are creating a safe space for your children to come to if something goes wrong online. I mean, I'm a big advocate for children not being online at all, but that's a separate conversation. I guess we're in a situation now where I think too many children are online, and too many parents have just sort of let it happen, thinking that I'm raising good children and my children will be safe. And in most cases, that is true. But sadly, in some cases, it doesn't matter how well you raise your children. It doesn't matter if your children go to church or to the temple or wherever it might be. You know, all of this kind of online radicalization or grooming can happen to any child, anywhere. And one of the key things that I say to parents is, often a closed door isn't a sign of privacy. A closed door is actually a signal. And parents need to be picking up on those signals and knowing how to follow up with those conversations.
Well, that is exactly right. And I am a great advocate for not having closed doors. I think if a child is working in their bedroom, why do they need the door closed? You know, I know when they're getting dressed, obviously there's privacy, but when it's doing homework time, or even when they're playing their games, why do the doors need to be shut? You know?
Well, actually, one of the things that I say to Yeah, one of the things that I say to parents actually when I run training, whether it's for organizations or for schools or whatever, is if your child is using a laptop, if your child is using a tablet or whatever it might be, they need to be using it in a public space in the house, whether that's the lounge, the living room, the kitchen, wherever it might be. Not because you as a parent want to check everything they're doing, but actually because they know that there is a chance you might walk past and see what's on their screen and might sort of want to be curious or inquisitive about what's on their screen. It's not about judgment or being angry. It's about, asking the question. So there should be no time whatsoever, actually, where your child is using a device unsupervised in their bedroom, because we wouldn't let our child at night wander the streets, knowing what dangers exist out there. But for some reason, we allow our child to wander the internet at night without worrying about it, because we think they're playing a game or we think they're doing their work or whatever it might be. But actually, we don't know if they are communicating with somebody online or somebody is communicating with them and is grooming them, is radicalizing them, is whatever it might be. The risks, I don't think enough parents understand that the risks of the digital world, I believe now, are actually greater than the risks of the physical world. And the steps that we take to protect our children in the physical world, we need to be taking those steps and more to protect our children in the digital world.
Wow, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think one of the things that I because of what you've done, and because it has gone mad, and the reason it's gone so crazy, if you like, is because people were so shocked. That's the truth of it. When you put it in this format, it's shocking, right? And when you put it in a format that says this is about right wing people, this is about extremism, this is about sex, this is about violence, this is about drugs, and you think, oh my gosh, what on earth is going on? How can this be happening? But then if we saw 5 or 6 emojis in a row on a phone as you're walking past, and you go, oh, they're just playing emojis or whatever, right? And it's actually telling them to go and cut themselves, because that's what I've been reading about. Someone is actually being threatened. Did you cut yourself? And the answer is no, not yet. And then the next one is, I want to see the blood. And it was a list of these emojis. And I was like, I wanted to scream. How's our world got to this place, right? But thank goodness for you, and thank goodness for your efforts. I hope that there's a lot of people watching this and listening to you, either on one of our socials or today, who will be asking you to come and talk to their schools, talk to their bodies of parents or teachers, to understand just what this underworld that we don't know about is going on. Because if we don't know,
yeah, I think the crucial thing here is context, and that's really, really important. When I created that resource, it was to be informative to parents. I had no idea when I hit the post button last week on that 2 weeks ago, I think, on that it was going to go viral the way that it did. I mean, I've had requests from all over the world for that. I'm actually on Fox News tomorrow morning. I've just got an email from Fox News in the USA, in Washington. I think it's localized Fox, not national Fox. But I'm going to be. I mean, it's crazy. It's been featured.
Well, you're in the Washington Telegraph, so
You're a star.
Thank you. Well, I found out today that I'm in the New York Post as well. I didn't know.
Wow.
The New York Post. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think context is the most important thing. This isn't about, because when something goes viral, you have lots of different opinions, and I've had lots of opinions and comments on people criticizing this document and criticizing the research behind it and criticizing the fact that they are just pictures without any context. There is a document that goes with it, by the way, which I share with people. But ultimately, it is about context. If you see emojis on your child's phone, the chances are the majority of the time they're going to be innocently used. In the same way, we as adults use lots of emojis innocently. I joined the room and heard somebody saying they use the purple heart. The purple heart can be used to represent lots of different things. Often it's used by disability groups to support kind of disability advocacy. And the reason why I didn't include the hearts on my emoji table is because the research out there about the heart is still a little bit shaky. They're not 100% sure the hearts actually represent the things that were mentioned in adolescence that may have been for dramatic effect. But I think if you're seeing emojis on your child's phone that you think look strange, if you're seeing acronyms, by the way, as well, words that you don't understand, letters that you don't know what means, it's not about judgment, it's not about anger, it's about curiosity. Ask the question, oh, I noticed on your phone that I saw some acronym, and you know, maybe I as a parent looked it up. You know, Urban Dictionary is a great place to look it up, although I advise caution to every parent because you might see things that are going to shock you on Urban Dictionary. But you can find things about emojis on there. And it's, again, it goes back to what I said earlier. It's not about judgment or about anger. It's about using that space to have a meaningful conversation with your child, find out what's going on in their digital world, be inquisitive. They're not going to tell you straight away. They're not going to tell you the second day or the third day or the fourth day, but they might tell you by the fourth week of you consistently making it a routine to ask them about their digital world. And that is what I think we have to change as parents. We can't say to our kids, how was school today? You think back to when our parents asked us, how was school today? It was fine.
Right.
End of conversation. Where do you go from there? But now it's got to be, actually, what did you learn in history today? And then you move the conversation up a level. Who did you socialize with today? What did you see online today that worried you? Who did you communicate with online today? Were there any things that scared you about your online world today? These are the kinds of questions we need to be normalizing when our children come home, if they have access to the online world on their devices.
Which they all tend to. Look, let me show you your periodic table. Talk us
Thank
through
you.
if you don't mind, please. And then
Not at all.
tell us, and the fact that there's resources behind it, I didn't know that. So tell us, what we need to know. So our they're freaked out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So this resource is, firstly, it's not exhaustive. I've put about 60 emojis there, but there's probably about 600, and they're constantly changing and constantly evolving. So this list is not exhaustive. But when I watched the program, like many people, I was shocked. But having come from the world of education, I wasn't surprised by what's going on. I've sort of seen what's happened. I think certainly in the UK and probably in other countries as well. What's happened is we've known about the sort of misogynistic kind of narrative that's being peddled by lots of influencers, but we've just sort of allowed it to sort of carry on, hoping that it won't impact us personally. What adolescence has done has brought to the forefront that a pretty normal family had it impact. You were impacted in the worst possible way. Their child ended up murdering a young girl. And so I thought, I don't want to just label the incel emojis on here. I want to look at what children are communicating about when it comes to drugs. People can order drugs and people can deal drugs without saying or writing a single word, just by using emojis and acronyms. The thing about sex, obviously, young people talking about sex is not sinister. I was criticized by some people for using the word sinister here and then having emojis that represent sex. Of course, talking about sex is not sinister. For many young people, it's about exploring their identity and exploring their kind of sexual, being, basically. But it's where these, again, it's back to context. Where these are used in context is really, really important. So if a young boy is using some of those emojis that represent a vagina, for example, or oral sex or whatever it might be, and your boy is 13, regardless of how much they want to explore their sexual identity and their sexual kind of, being, it's really important to be asking questions as to why why are you requesting oral sex from a girl via emojis? Is that appropriate at your age? What's making you do that? Are you feeling pressured? And then it can turn into a conversation about sex, of course, which again shouldn't be the conversation as a one-off from your parent to say no sex until you're 18 and then it's protected, or no sex till you're married. Nonsense. It's got to be a normalized, regular conversation. We as parents have to get over our own kind of taboos, and for some of us it's cultural. I'm raised in a sort of Indian culture where talking about sex and relationships was very taboo, and it still is in our culture. So you've got two options as a parent. You either get over that taboo and that cultural kind of issue and be the person that is teaching your children right from wrong, or you allow them to get their sex education from pornography, which is really easily accessible now, and the online world, and all through this kind of communication. So we have to work on our communication as parents.
Absolutely. And I think that one of the key things for me was that article where this young girl was being asked to cut herself. The thing that shocked me, it's all about context. Just before that, there was a dialogue. The dialogue put everything into perspective. But if you don't have access to your child's phone, if they've hidden the passwords, or whatever, and you just happen to see what's on their screen, you don't have access to the dialogue. You don't have access to the context. So it's got to be communication. And I will stand up and scream from the rooftops that we need to have better communication with our children now than ever before, ever, because things have moved on. So parents and children need to be able to talk, and that is absolutely paramount to me. And until we change that, until we make that normal, that we have these chats, and like you said, Amit, if you say to somebody on a regular basis, did anything happen at school that bothered you? And they go, nah, no, nothing. You go, okay, fine. But when you keep asking that question, eventually they may well say something, and that's the part that we'll understand. Would any of our other guests like to say something? Michelle, Coach K, I can see Michelle, other Michelle there. Would anyone like to jump in quick?
Thank you so much for making what you did. Yeah, I'm still catching up on the way they need drugs. I get so confused. I'm like, go get that girl and tell her to come in here. They're like, no, that's a drug. Oh, didn't know. So this, I thank you for, because I'm honestly not surprised. Honestly not. One thing, parents, guess what? The internet's not your babysitter. Okay? You are your babysitter for your child, not the internet, not someone else on the internet, unless they are doing educational stuff. Guess what? Get them off the internet, because it's not your babysitter. You go pay for a babysitter. I don't care. But our kids don't need to be in there and learning this. And thank you, Em. Oh my, I love you. I just love you. Thank you. But seriously, folks, he's right. The internet's not the babysitter around here. Either you go pay for one, get your kids off, start interacting with them so they tell you things like he's teaching us. He had to actually draw a periodic table, because us parents are like, oh, let Timmy go over there and just watch the internet because I've worked all day and I want to sit here and have a toddy or something. No, all right. You had a child. Spend time with your child. Teach your child so that child learns how to interact with the world, because the world is not emojis. The world doesn't accept cockroaches going out and killing each other until we can't do anything about technology, because we have technology. But guess what? You can do something about yourself. You're a parent, act like it, spend time with your kids, learn what your child is. You have the child, you adopted the child, you're a foster parent to that child. Learn what that child's about, and then take your tools that you've learned over life, surfing the wave of life, and teach that child tools. Because I can guarantee you, if you don't, you will be the next one in a newspaper on the news, and not for good things. It will be because little Timmy just did something stupid, and it's just sad. It's sad. It makes me cry every night to know that we are dropping the ball, and we don't have to be dropping the ball. We've gotten lazy, folks. I've gotten lazy too. Turn your computer off. My son and his wife, their kids, 2 hours a day on the computer. That's it. And let me tell you something, it was hard for them to actually break that system of everyone being on their phones or on the internet or playing a game or something. But they did it. And now they play board games. Now they cook dinner together and everything. And let me tell you something, these guys are 30 years old and they've got 2 kids and they've made it since high school. We can figure this out. It's not always going to be fun, but we got this. Okay, just be with your kid and turn the internet off.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Michelle. That was lovely. Michelle Whiteside, do you want to jump in?
Sure. Michelle. Hi, you guys. Nice to be here. Thank you for all pitching in. I am sorry I was off camera earlier. So, I keep hearing, for some reason, because of the kids that I work with, a lot of times the parents aren't really that involved. They don't really understand the language, or they don't get on the computer, but the kids are on there. And so I do believe the conversations have to start at home. My kids are older now, and I wish we knew what we knew, right? And hindsight's 2020. I had them out in the front. It was always a big battle about the computer, and it was about their autonomy and all of that, right? Because as teenagers, and when they're that age, they want to be their own person. They don't want anyone looking over their shoulder. So to me, the most important thing is that rapport in those conversations. The best place to have a conversation with a kid is in the car as you're driving. I miss those times because they're kind of stuck. And there's some beautiful conversations come out of that. But it's really starting the dialogue, just not about this, but about everything, because our world is so different. And things are going to happen. I mean, there are great ways to put bumpers around, but at the end of the day, those bumpers, they'll be at somebody's house, or, they'll see something somewhere else. So for me, the best place is the triage comes before. That stuff's almost the last part of the kaboom, because they don't have any tools to know how to deal with that, or know that it's not real, or how to get help, or where it is, or feel comfortable and safe to talk to their parents or their peers and support, right? So to me, it's these conversations that are so important. Like, I didn't even know it existed, and when I go into the classroom, we might have a little conversation about it, because that to me is, keys to the kingdom, pretty much.
Yeah. And now that you do know, you can have that conversation, and you can be that person.
Mhm.
This is the key. Even if the parents aren't necessarily involved, or want to be, or can't be, or whatever, if you can be as the teacher, or you can be as their significant adult, the person they trust, then that's the person they need to hear it from. So
Right.
I 100% agree with that. That was brilliant. Amit, do you want to jump in?
Oh, go on. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah. No,
Amit,
I'm just conscious that I have to slip off shortly as well. I think it's bigger than just the kind of emojis issue. I mean, the work that I do, certainly when I work with organizations, because there are certainly here in the UK, the DEI kind of thing is still going strong, and companies are doubling down, and in America at the moment it's sort of up in the air, and some countries are going against it, and some are actually doubling down. But my work is actually supporting those parents, because from a business point of view, if you have 100 employees, of which 75 are parents or maybe aspiring parents, you want them to be able to thrive at home. You want them to be able to have great relationships with their children at home, because if they don't, that headache, that heartache, those difficulties come into the workplace. So purely from a selfish work point of view, even if you didn't care about your employees, you actually want them to have happy home lives, so they're not bringing that kind of pressure into work. Well, what better way to encourage them and support them with their happy home lives than to provide this kind of training for them, to support them, to help them navigate the parenting world. There is no harder time, I think, in recent history than today to be a child. It is the hardest time to be a child because of the digital access that they have, and therefore, because of that, it's the hardest time to be a parent, because you're now wrestling with all the physical dangers that we are dealing with in the real world, and then you're wrestling with all the digital dangers. And like Michelle just mentioned, lots of parents are simply unaware of what those digital dangers are, either because they just are, they don't know about it enough, or they don't have the capability of learning about it enough. I don't want to judge everybody and sort of paint everybody with the same brush. There are people out there with lots of challenging circumstances. There's a language barrier for many people as well. If things are produced in English, and English is not your first language. So we've got to, as a collective, as people, and that's what I do on my own, and I'm glad to be here. It's sending the message out to parents that actually you do need to step up, but we are here to help you if you are struggling in navigating that online world. If you just don't know where to start, if you've never heard of TikTok or don't know what Snapchat does, we're here to help you with that. But if we help you with that, all we can do is give you the initial kind of, here are some of the issues with Snapchat. You've then got to go away, do your own research, and start normalizing those conversations. That's a really important thing.
Absolutely.
I agree.
And just before you go, Coach K, do you want to jump in?
I do.
If not, let me show Amit some of the comments I'm
Wait a
confused to see
minute.
what
Did you
people
just
say.
jump on to cut me off, Annie? Because that's a little
Yeah.
bit rude. I didn't even know you were in the
Don't
room.
be like that. No, look, okay, now, well, okay, Coach K, you go, and then as long as Amy gives a few minutes to show me the comments, I'll be all right with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I wanted to say, because I heard so many good things, I just wanted to paint a picture of what the conversations look like, because I think that we as professionals have to be mindful that everybody's parent didn't necessarily learn how to parent either, or they may also not have been parented themselves. And so when we share information, I think it's important to be aware of tonality, because we want people to receive what we're saying, because there's not many places to go and get the actual resources. And so one of the things that I did with my kids and that I do with my students is I get in a habit of saying, how's your day? And when they say fine, I never stop there. You always have to peel back the layers. And most people are in a habit of not necessarily even listening, but having someone to listen to how their day actually was. So they're not necessarily used to listening to how somebody is really responding, if that makes sense. Because if I did have a bad day and I'm not used to you listening, I'm not going to share it with you anyway, because you're doing other stuff or whatever is going on. And so get in the habit of asking these children, how was your day? Well, what did you do? And then what happened? And then just continue to pull back those layers and be willing to listen. And then I think we as professionals, when we're doing lives like this, have to talk to the parents as if they don't know, because and it said some of them actually don't know. A lot of them actually don't know. And then we've not been in these kids' shoes. We don't necessarily know what they're going through, because our lives as children were like what we would assume a kid's life should be, because we didn't have all this evasive technology. The other thing that I wanted to add was when my kids were teenagers and I finally gave them phones, because as a elementary school teacher and a middle school teacher, I think that some parents need to be aware that phones are not necessities for children. They're not necessities. Like, you actually can get a house phone. You actually can let them use your phone. You can actually get a second phone. And when they want to talk to their friends, they borrow it as if it's the house phone, and then they give it back because they don't actually need a phone. And when they do get a phone, one of the things that I did was, you can have a password on it, but I have to have the password. If I ever go to pick up your phone and the password doesn't work, you won't have a phone. So I did, as they got older, they know I'm doing regular checks. They know I'm clicking on whatever app, whether I know what it is or not. And I'm saying, hey, what is this? What does this mean? And then I'm going to go to another kid and say, hey, what is this? What does this mean? So that I can cross-reference what my child told me and what this kid is telling me, so that I actually do my due diligence and knowing what it means. And it only takes like 4 or 5 minutes, not less than that, actually. And so you don't have to spend a ton of time like being the Ace Ventura pet detective for these kids, but you just have to get in a habit of interacting with them in different ways that they're used to, because they can teach you the emojis to where you're using it with them in your communication. So you're constantly in the loop. And then when you're doing your social content or whatever, you use it on adults too. It all works on us the same. But
Yeah,
that's it.
absolutely.
Well,
Thank you, darling.
Coach
I
K.
appreciate you. Appreciate you. Go on
Thanks
then,
for letting
Annie.
me
Do
hop
your
in.
thing.
Thank you. You totally explained it to me. And all right, parents, I got to rephrase what I just said or it'll drive me nuts. Okay, let me go with this. I shouldn't have yelled and told you to put down the internet. I wasn't taught how to be a parent, and I had to teach myself, and that's why we are doing this. So I get very passionate when I know kids aren't being taught. So
That's it.
yeah, I do. Our youth are our future, and I didn't yell until you put down the internet, even though I meant it. But I didn't
It's
mean to yell.
okay. I felt where you were coming from personally. I definitely personally felt it.
Everybody knows. No.
Okay,
Everybody knows, Michelle. You mean
all
it with a good
right.
heart. Trust me. Everybody
Yeah.
knows. Right, Annie.
Yeah.
Quickly, because Amit's got to go. Let Any jump in. Thank you. Go for it. Any jump in. You're on mute.
I like being on mute. Okay, I meant to know. Here's some of the comments that you might be able to help us with, please. So Sharon, welcome. Sharon says, I learned on the movie Murder Mystery. I have no idea what the movie is. So that's information, emojis. And Sharon, like you said earlier, context matters. That's been said a few times, right? Jason asks, what is incel?
So incel stands for involuntary celibate, which basically has been sort of hijacked by people in the sort of misogyny or manosphere kind of space, where young lads especially who are struggling to get girlfriends or are struggling to have sexual partners actually blame women for their lack of success with women, and so they turn their anger and frustrations out towards women, and they join forces and join this kind of incel movement to criticize and trash women, basically using some of these emojis and becoming a kind of brotherhood.
Oh, that sounds dangerous. As dangerous as it sounds.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
I've got a son, and that's amazing to think. Yeah, so Kiefer says, I send emojis, but never thought they had a hidden agenda. Well, now we know, right? And Jackie says, welcome to you. There are a couple of other good ones. Yeah, that's one of them. So the children know more about these things than adults.
Yeah, of course they do. I mean, children are much more in tune with the digital world than we are, but it goes back to what some of the other panelists have said. It's about us constantly training ourselves, constantly doing the research, putting in the time and the effort. There's no greater job in the world. Nothing should be more important to us than our children. And so if we have to spend some time researching, spend some time finding out about the trends, talking to our children about those trends, that's an important thing that we have to do. So we have to keep up with it.
Yeah, look, when Paula and I were talking earlier, I guess I made the point that in our day, we had our own language that our parents didn't really understand. We had our slang and our different way of saying stuff. So, and that the language will always evolve, especially for different generations. So we just have to try and keep up as best we can. But again, I think the point you made earlier, it's not about knowing what all the emojis in the world mean. That's the point about knowing how to communicate with our kids and build that relationship. That really does get us talking to them and understanding where they're coming from. Of course, now your resources, my friend. How do people contact you to find out more about how you can help?
Yeah, sure. So you can connect with me on Instagram at For Working Parents, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at For Working Parents, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn at Amit Singh, Singh. Kalley, it'd be great to connect with people. And for anybody who is in the USA, like I say, if you're in Eastern, I'm apparently on Fox. I think it's called Fox 5. I think it's called DC. Is where I'm going to be on tomorrow morning at 9:30.
You're famous, Amit. You're famous. You're famous.
Can you put your links in the chat? That way,
yes, please.
How do I just get in the chat?
Either in the chat or on the event page. We'll make sure it gets there, Coach K. Between me and Paulette, we'll make sure that Amit's links are there.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for that.
It'll be probably easier. So Lana said, to many parents, education is taught online. That's a problem, right? My son.
It's true. It's true. I don't know whether that's a question or whether that's a statement from the comment.
She's saying, how do we know it works? Is what she's saying, I suppose. Where's credibility of the data? Because I don't believe it. I don't believe it works. I think it's too shallow a way to learn anything. Am I wrong? I don't know.
Get in the real world, like when you go out and you work with kids as educators and as professionals, you can always give back to children, and then you learn from them just like they learn from you. Then you don't have to question yourself because you got it yourself.
See, but the world of pen and paper is how you learn stuff. Even now, I still write stuff down to learn stuff, to make it resonate, to make it sink in.
Annie, I've got to tell you, I've got to just interrupt you for 1 second and say this. When a child looks you in the eye, and you will all, as educators and And you'll know this, Sam, but when a child looks you in the eye and says, "Can I talk to you?" Right? Can I talk to you? You know something bad's coming. Nobody comes up to you and says, "Can I talk to you?" because they want to tell you about the fact they won some sort of race at the weekend. They come to tell you there's a problem. They come to tell you that something has happened, that there is either a death in the family, or somebody's done something to them, or somebody's asked them to do something. And that face, it haunts me, and I'm sure it haunts you, and it'll haunt every educator, because you can't look away from that face, right? You can't forget it. And so what I say to people is, don't be scared by this stuff. This stuff isn't to scare you. Yes, the word sinister's in it, but it's meant to say, look, there is something going on that you must be aware of. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying that we know it's going on. We know certainly drugs are being passed backwards and forwards. My brother's in the police force. I spoke to him today, and he said that they're all over. The three main ones, they're all over. Instagram, obviously, they're all over the. Everybody's over what's going on TikTok, because you know they don't use words. Drug sales are going down with emojis.
I'm so sorry, guys, but I have to.
You have to go. I know, darling. Listen, can I say thank you for
Radio.
coming? I really appreciate it, and I'm sure you'll get lots of interest. So thank you.
Can we try and bring Amit back for different conversations around online safety, Paulette?
I think we'd love to if he's available. He's going to be very busy for a while, I think. So
Nice is a celebrity.
No, don't be silly. It'd be my pleasure. It'd be my pleasure. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, my love. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Good luck
Thank
tomorrow.
Thank you so much. Take care. Thank you. So Paulette, you got questions to answer? I mean, if anyone else has knows answers, then please do feel free.
No, listen, absolutely. Go on, Coach K.
When we were talking, we had a conversation about this yesterday, and I don't know if this was discussed before I came on, but I was talking about training character, because you can't always I think that the pre-technology era generations, right, that didn't have to deal with this stuff, especially when I'm on here at times, I hear a lot about, like, I go read, I gotta write, and it's like such the literal literacy end of it that some of the professionals and the adults are so focused on, that I think that people forget, and myself included, the power of just doing. Because it's one thing to learn something, it's another thing that you're learning what I'm actually doing. You get what I'm saying? And it's not that I knew it, it's not that I read something, I just tried it. And a lot of times when we're trying from a good place with good intentions, it works out, because it's just communicating, it's just interacting. And we know these things, we might not have done them for a while. And I think that our generation kind of got a little bit complacent in certain pieces of technology like this. Whereas these kids, they're downloading new apps every day and trying everything they get their hands on. And so with my boys being like in their 20s, drugs and sex and all the stuff that would scare the crap out of a parents, they have very high access to, because of the community that we lived in was a really great community. So these kids had cars and money and access to all kind of things. And so I had to train my kids' character to know that they were better than that. And so my kids were actually would come home and be like, Mom, these kids are doing all kind of stuff. And I'm getting the info from my kids. Like, they're telling me. Even now, my 16-year-old, when he started his new prep school, he's like, Ma, these kids need AA. Can you believe that they doing this? Why would they put this in their body? But because of the way that they were brought up, of me teaching them, like, people are going to come to you. People are going to try you. People are going to ask you questions that sound like this. And these are some roads that it can go down. And so it might be a little dramatic at times, but I give them all the possibilities, including the very negative ones, when you take a road that's presented to you that and I tell them why. It's not like a do it because I say so. It's like, no, let me show you what'll happen if you don't do this. When you get to showing kids pictures of people with crystal meth and holes missing from their face, that's a picture that says 1,000 words, especially the kids that don't struggle with self-esteem, that you think wouldn't. But you got kids that if you don't, like, we got to make sure we're telling them we love them. We got to make sure that we're listening when they're talking, and just doing those small things daily. It's not a big job. We just got to do little things daily, like how we get better 1%. That ideology works in parenting too. Like, I wasn't taught, I can't say what I want to say because this is LinkedIn, but I wasn't taught very much before I became a parent as a kid myself. And so I had to go out and actively seek the information to grow up and be responsible for somebody else, because there is information out there. And so we just got to sometimes gently lead people to it, or just continue to have conversations like this that allow us to have this open dialogue and be specific in the details of what it looks like and sounds like. Because I've heard 20-year-olds say, everybody tell me I'm doing something wrong, but nobody tells me how to actually do it. They're missing the steps. They're missing the process. And we're thinking because we know, well, I just told you, go over there and do this, go be happy, go love yourself, go whatever. But if we're not, a lot of the adults are not even practicing it. We can't say be peaceful, be calm, be this, and then we show up a different way. And so I think we have to get back to being interactive in the world and allowing our inner child to continue to learn so that we could know and grow together. It sounds a little interesting and cheesy, but that's really a concept.
I think
No,
we
we
agree.
spoke yesterday.
Yes.
No, we
It
spoke
makes
yesterday,
everybody
Coach K and I. Everybody's accountable, absolutely. And also, there aren't enough therapists and counselors to go around, or hours in the day to help everybody, right? So we have to be not only the parent, we have to be the parent and the therapist and the counselor and the carer and the shoulder to cry on, and also the disciplinarian and all the other hats. But we always
And
have
we got to
had.
heal in the process.
And we've got to heal in the process, exactly. And what we've got to understand, I think personally, is unless we open that door to come talk to me, come, let's sit and watch a film together, let's spend some time together, let's do something together. Until you build that bond, you won't have the trust. The bond comes with trust. And going back to the whole reason we've had this conversation is really, for me, is about the kid's not going to come and talk to you about all this stuff if he hasn't got that trust in you, if that bond isn't there. And that's down to whether it's a parent or whatever, guardian, teacher, whatever. You have to build some sort of rapport with that child that they feel they can come and talk. And I think it starts from a very young age. I'm talking like 4, 5, 6. Those everyday conversations. I love you. I'm here for you. If there's ever a problem, you can talk to me. Always, every day. And they'd be like, oh, for goodness sake, do you have to everyday love on me? And it's like, yes, I do, And like the kids will be laughing at you going, oh, no more mum, no more I love yous, But it's going to happen, right?
Yeah,
I
don't
mean,
too much.
I can tell you, just because I'm going to embarrass you, right? There will be one of these in Ben's pants drawer when he goes back that just says, one day you'll find this and find out that I love you, right? And there'll be another one that says, all the reasons why I love you as my son. Not because I'm there, because he's at university and I'm not there. And I want him to remember who I am, right? And he doesn't forget. I know he doesn't forget. He gets sick of me. But there's that relationship where that child knows they can trust you with anything.
You know,
Me and Charles one day, you know the story, Annie. We were sitting eating our dinner and it asked us if we had a threesome. We spat chips and peas right across the table, right? I can't tell you. And all I could say to Charles was, thank God I wasn't driving because I'd just driven him home from school, right? I'd have driven straight into a wall, I'm sure. And it's because he'd seen something at school he shouldn't have seen. He was like 12 years old. He shouldn't have seen that stuff. But
Or
the
he heard
internet
something.
wasn't
You know, boys
controlled.
talking in locker rooms.
No,
Yeah.
he'd seen a video. There was a video at school. But the point is, he actually asked us.
Look,
And
know,
I'm
see,
like, that's not normal, right?
you see, I think Coach Kaylee has a point, though. You know, our kids need to develop character, a person, and I don't know. It's a sense of what's right for them, what's wrong. Maybe I'm just an old man talking. I'm saying, I'm lucky that my son, yeah, your son too, Paulette. The things that they just won't do because that's not them, right? I think that character I don't know whether it's missing or whether it's hard to develop. I'm saying there's something's amiss somewhere.
The thing that helped me, they had this thing, a scroll, like an English scroll at the hospital when I had my first son, and it literally said how to build character, and it was like one-liners. I'm gonna find it and share it because it's simple things that it's so easy to do that, but we don't know that that's an instruction. We just think it's a thing. You get what I'm saying? Because it's like most of us have fumbled our way through parenting, you know, and so we know how, but we don't always know how to articulate it. And so once we put these words to this actually means that, similar to this whole emoji conversation, when we know and can articulate a very particular way, it actually, this thing that's been so difficult for centuries becomes so easy because it's like all this time we just didn't have the right words in terms of words just being powerful. Like Paulette was just saying, like, I'm going to share, I'll go back in the comments, and when I find it, I'll mock it up and I'll put it in your comment
please
section.
Do. Please do. You know, look, I know kids would never think of sending a selfie to anyone. They'd rather die. I know kids who send selfies rant to everyone, and you're like, "What the hell? What's with you?" You know, I'm saying there's something missing somewhere. Anyway, Paulette, for the good news, adolescents are going to get shown in schools from now on. Apparently, that's what the government just said. So lucky us. So kids got to get to learn about emojis, right? Arlene, thank you for joining us. I mean, I wanted you there, so I wanted to welcome you, Arlene. Paulette, you're on mute.
I love being on mute. Misogyny is the big one that Keir Starmer was going on about. He wants every child to be able to understand what misogyny is, and so that children don't grow up to be misogynist because they're being so impressionable at the moment by what these guys on the internet are saying and believing in it. And you know, when we had a question earlier on about what does incel mean, that is this whole misogyny thing. I mean, there's like it's about 20 emojis there that refer to a specific group of people who are pushing that narrative. And if you don't know that narrative, we don't know what it means. I wouldn't have known. I can put my hand on my heart and say this was completely new to me. And maybe because I don't have teenagers, maybe because I'm not in therapy anymore, I'm not as aware. But this is scary stuff. I'm not scary as in we've all got to run around being terrified. It's scary as in we just need to keep up. We just need to keep up. And if we can, be one step ahead, not necessarily behind. You know, Alana's got something, she's waving it. Let's see what Alana's found.
I think, you know, again, Arlene's points that parents looking at the kids' devices keeps them accountable. I think it probably goes also with Amit's point that you shouldn't let kids use devices in the bedroom. It should be somewhere in a public space in the house where at least someone might see what they're looking at. No, so I think that's what you're referring to. If I'm wrong, Arlene, let me know. Sharon, stop it. I have no idea what any of that means. There's four emojis. I'm all confused now. The first one is bless you, right? I think. From there on, I'm lost. Totally lost. You know, if anyone knows what those emojis mean, someone tell me. I think she's trying to psych us out.
Heart and smiles today.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
I
God,
can't
what's it say?
see it. I have no idea.
Thank
God,
you.
Ilana Banana, tell us.
Am I on mute?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, you can. So I'm not on mute.
No.
Okay. So whoever just put that up. So to me, Sharon, I'm sorry. I'm just getting used to this new program. And actually, I'm on a different computer that I'm normally on. So Sharon, this is how actually one of my younger students, because I work in publicity and promotions and all of that, and as well as with handicapped kids, as well as regular kids who are in the high school range. So thank you for sharing parts of your heart, smiles, especially today.
Wow.
Sharon?
You read all that?
And then I do thank you. And then I do this. To you, the same. To you, the same.
You read all. Honestly, no,
Oh,
you're a genius. There's a lot of comments, that we still have to go through sometime, right? Let me show what's coming next.
But wait, do I get to comment or no?
Yes, of course. You know, the mic
Yes,
is yours.
go for it.
But tell me if it doesn't. Oh, and the tree behind me, because I'm visiting with my parents as my parents are. Oh, and I'm wearing clothing. I'm wearing clothing. I'm sorry. I'm wearing clothing. And the reason why I'm here is just because my parents are aging, but I have my own apartment and I'm also in New York and Florida and trying to go back and forth. However, I do work with high schoolers. I do work with kids in correctional institutions. And I also work with Chanel, the brand, and fur companies. And I will tell you what's amazing. So I've had many kids, especially in the correctional sites, which they're allowed to stay in after the age of 21. And again, I'm in the US. So, and I have actually, you can enter a word for in Urban Dictionary, which is like today's form of a dictionary, but it's been updated so that it's hip and that it relates like to the lingo that like, so if someone thinks that I'm sounding awkward, Paulette, if you thought I sounded awkward today, you'd say, Alana, you're beginning to sound sus. Well, sus means suspicious. And I'd be like, well, my homie lives next door. Well, that's allowed to be used with Black people and white people, especially if you're from the city. So it all depends. It's urban, it's demographics. Oh, and here's my post of the day, which had me cracking up because sometimes the post is great, but we also have to live and learn what is really credible. And I love the gentleman who was on before. But what I will say is that in terms of parents watching for emojis, these days, even worse than challenging each other to do things sexually and self-harm, it's also selling contraband, knives, guns. But as Sharon? Yeah? Okay. Thank you, Sharon. You also learn to understand what those mean. And if kids who are older or in correctional sites, or I don't really care. As long as they trust you, it's everything. And if these kids don't have close contact with a parent or don't feel like there's trust with a parent, like I'm not a teacher, I'm a facilitator. I've discussed that with, with Michelle, Paulette. So I feel like I'm one of them and I'm a goofball. And I've been told actually that I'm the only white teacher they've ever had that they haven't stabbed, some of the kids. And where I love it because I'm like, well, let's think of some other things that we could do if we're not happy with the situation. So it's problem solving, but there's so much more right now with the learning through the computers, the emojis, the sayings. And I think it's really having the kids, especially the older ones, because it trickles down to the younger ones who want to seem older than they are. I think it's having them trust you enough to explain things to you. And if I say, listen, we'll do this activity, or we'll do something, or I don't care if it's a pizza party for the day, which is a big deal for a lot of these, even high schoolers, even they're not allowed to get something special. Like, just teach me. So if I say to these kids, just teach me, like, I just feel lost. I'm not getting any of you in trouble. Like, when I was younger, we used to have gibberish. What I got, did a goo, you a goose, did a gink, got a gun, so it was, it changed the vowels and everything in different. And that was how I used to tell secrets about cute boys. Well, times have changed. And if you have an eggplant next to a peach, that means that you want to sleep with someone. The eggplant and the peach. So we all know, okay, so the eggplant and the peach, they're like, that's the first thing you learn when you do emojis. I think that was the first thing I saw out of a kindergartner whose brother was 20. And I said, okay, there are going to be no emojis of eggplants and peaches today. But bottom line is that I learn from them and they learn from me. And that's the trade-off, because I'm so tired and sad from the negativity with the kids. And I keep just saying, remember the positive, as any you do, as many people on this forum do. Positive, we pass it on, we pass it forward. And it really does pay off. And I will say, again, with the students that I have in the trust, I will meet with a parent, or I get not as a scary thing, but just to inform that something's going on, including bullying, not just on the computer. It's so much easier on the computer because you don't have to use your voice, and you don't have to use, like, I wouldn't say something. The students wouldn't say something, but when it's just written, especially anonymous, it's like, oh yeah, I can ride the subway. I can ride the subway standing up. Well, then you hear about like 4 deaths in a week from the New York system subway, because, if they could do it, they're influencers, they could do it. So it's just, I think, really listening to the kids, and really, really, no matter how busy a parent is, just try to add some information. And I totally I'm a parent myself, but when the kids these days, especially what's going on overseas also, when they turn on their computer and they think they're getting a full education by turning on what's going on in Kenya right now, what's going on in Palestine, what's going on in Israel, any of that stuff, and they go to Wikipedia, and it's not giving a bipartisan, like 2 sides of the issues, I'm like, parents, just please step in and think. Besides just chanting one sentence that we all chant, think about what things mean, and how would you feel if you said that to, like, your brother, your sister, if someone said it to your brother or sister, or someone said it to, like, me. Because I'll say, Diego, if someone said it to you and something happened, and I'm speaking about a real child, like, my heart would be broken, because then I wouldn't be able to have you in my room anymore. So that's all of these little things, just really watch for. And there are tutorials that'll bring you up to date, especially in the US. And so I will tag on to the gentleman before, because I was like trying to say, but there are educational things regarding the emojis and regarding factual sites, but it's just really keeping it up one day at a time. And like you said, Paulette, if a person doesn't, if an older adult, if a really much older adult says to me, I just need 5 minutes, as we learned with a friend who used to be on LinkedIn and is no longer here. If someone now says, I need just 5 minutes of your time, I'm on that computer so fast, because I need to make sure that that the person gets the 5 minutes, because it's not just the this and the heart. It could mean this, which anyway, so there are all these things to look into. And if anyone has any questions, definitely feel free to write. I might not get back right away, as Paulette knows, but I promise I will get back, especially regarding this, because it's really, just think, education should be learned by a teacher, or a really good, credible parent, or really credible, good teacher, but someone that has true love in their heart, not just thinking from one perspective. Okay, I love you. I'm going mute, I think, if I can hit it right.
Thank you so much. You're
There
so
isn't a
cool.
mute emoji. Sharon sent you a message. You want to read Sharon's message?
Sharon, I was doing this.
Sharon's
This is
message?
later. I'll read it later.
Okay. So the key thing for me from everybody and what everyone has said is to communicate. That's got to be the key now. Absolutely. Whether we're talking about youngsters, little ones, right the way through, having that open dialogue, having that trust. That's the key word, that trust that people believe in you and you believe in them. And doing it with love in your heart is crikey me. I can tell you, I've had people come here who've been to see 2 or 3 or 4 therapists and they didn't get on with them and the door got slammed and they walked out. And they came in and they sat down and I said, I hear that you're a difficult case. They look at me. Okay, did you just say that? And I said, yeah. I said, so this is how it's going to work. That's my door, and don't you dare slam it. And they just look at me and go, I wasn't going to slam your door. And I go, right. So are we going to be friends or not? And they're like, maybe. And now all of a sudden we're joking. We're already joking about them slamming my door. We've made this rapport that says, try. We've already said we're going to try. We haven't said we're going to be best mates. We haven't said we're going to be the best therapists, but we've said we're going to give it a go. And that is communication. That is the art of getting below the surface level of door slamming, walking out and telling them to go and F themselves, right? That kid came back 7 times, right? 7 times because they needed just someone to talk to. And they didn't really speak, they drew. They used to draw pictures because that was the best way for them to communicate. And, some of the pictures were horrible. 20 vodka bottles. And I'd be like, well, that's a lot of vodka. Is that you drinking that? And he'd laugh. No. Well, who's drinking the vodka then? Like my mum. Okay. And when is this? Lots. So it was just happening regularly. So they were just seeing this parent getting drunk all the time, didn't care about them, felt lost, felt unloved, felt unseen, felt unheard. And they were put into therapy by the school because the school thought there was a problem. Yeah, there was a problem. But the problem was really actually at home. But when the parent got told, if you don't change X, Y, and Z, you're going to lose your child, suddenly things became, well, who's saying all this stuff about me, right? Who gave them the information? And the kid comes to see you, and they're really upset with you because suddenly you've had no option but to pass that information on, and now they're still at home for the foreseeable future, and then the next time they get taken away. And that's not a great position to be in. Let me tell you, that is not a great place to be. Nobody wants to take their kid away from their parents. Not if you've got a heart. But when you see 20 bottles of vodka and fighting and anger and the child is broken, you know that there has to be a solution. Now, we talked about character, right? A bit of a while back. That child didn't have a dog's chance of being taught character because the parent had forgotten character. Now, hopefully, that child's got a chance to find that character with love. Let's pray that they find some love. Let's pray that they find somebody who's going to invest in them. Let's hope they get somebody who's going to invest not only time, but love, give them warmth, give them entertainment, maybe show them a different way to be. But if they'd stayed in that environment, they probably would have ended up drinking the vodka too. That's the truth of it. Because that's all they see, that's what they do. What do we say about, we say monkey see, monkey do, right? That's it. So you have to be aware of that. But I want to be the person who says, I know there'll be a change, right? I know that child now is in a better place. and is doing better. And hopefully so's the parent. And maybe eventually the child gets to go back to the parent because they both saw what they missed and it all worked out. And in my head, I like to do Cinderellas, right? I love to do the whole fairy tale thing. And I know it doesn't always happen, but that's what I like to think. And I would just say, going back to that, talking of communication, that child tried to talk to their parent. Their parent was out of it by the time they got home from school. And then it just got periodically worse during the day and the evening and the night until the fights broke out, and then they went to bed and then they went back to school. And the teachers were noticing the child was wearing the same clothes. So there were all these warnings, all these red flags were coming up from all these different places. That child just needed love. There was nothing wrong with that child. He just needed love. And when he came here and he would have, I'd say, do you want a Coca-Cola? And he'd be like, yeah, I'd have a Coke and a bag of crisps. And we'd sit and he'd draw and he'd tell me all about his terrible life. And then I would say to him, when you leave here, know that I've seen you, I've heard you, I've listened to you, and I care about you. So you've got somebody who really cares about you. When he came back through that door after he got taken away from his parents, do you know what he said to me? He called me a bitch. Sorry for swearing, but he called me a bitch. And I said, why am I a bitch? He said, because you did it. And I said, no, I didn't. I said, the school did it. The school governors did it. The school therapist did it. Everybody was putting red flags. I was just one of them. You have to understand that. We were all worried about you. And he said, but I love my mum. I said, I know, and that's why you're a good boy. I said, and I know your mum loves you. She's just needing help. And let's hope she gets the help and you can go home. No, I wasn't supposed to see him anymore because he was now in the system. But he said I was the only therapist he would see. So guess what? He came back to my door. He had his Coke, he had his crisps, and I said, what do you want to draw? He said, I've got nothing to draw. Why not? He said, I haven't got any problems. And that was how he felt. I haven't got any problems. Okay, you have got a problem. Your mum isn't in your life. Right? So what we need to do is try and rectify that one. And he was like, yeah, we do. Can we help her? And I was like, she'll be getting the same help you're getting. And he was like, oh, she got a Paulette then? I said, yeah, she's probably got several. And he'd be like, oh, well, that's all right then. Ilana, yeah, please go for it.
I just want to just in the United States, so especially with the older kids, it's so funny, Paulette. I need eye contact to be appropriate with. So I'm going from this square to that square. So when I'm working with someone, and as you know, that there are 17 kids that live around my parents' home, so who just read your latest book. So they're going to do a review for you. But besides that, I'm going to stay on topic. When I've had kiddos in the past talking to me about transgender who are older, they're older kids. I will always say, or there was one who said, I come to school exhausted and sometimes with bugs in my hair and I get written up, but it's because I don't have a mattress. In my home, we have 5 people. I don't have a mattress, but I know I can't help it. And I know mom, we have no dad. Mom's not home that much. So we can't do things that are past FERPA, which is the same thing as HIPAA. It has to say silent. If it's anything to do, it just is. So one time I had brought clothing in for some students and other things. That's my mom in the background. Hi, Mom. I'm on. That's okay. Hi, Mom. See, Dude is underneath the table. Dude is a service. See, I love her. And she started using peach and an eggplant on emojis. And I taught her not to do that. Just as an FYI, I practice what I preach. So going back to the other, I always would ask, especially an older student, because we are supposed to do it on a global team. I let the advisor know, the advisor would let the principal know, and then if the doctor's involved or the psychiatrist, everyone had to know, understood. The first thing I would say to the student is what you just said. Just so you know, you matter to me. Like what I said to Diego, like, you matter to me. I would be lost if you were not here. We do have two major gangs in New York. We have the Crips and we have the Bloods, and it's real. It's like a constant. It's real, and I would never want any of those to go there. And that has been discussed. But I want you to know, I always say, do you give me permission to discuss? Because I never wanted. If I would do it in my way, it would be myself, the student is in there, social work. I would say, do I have permission? Because I never want to lose that one access, even if it's just that one with me. I never want that taken away from the student or from me. And the hardest part for me is when I leave them, when they leave the system, or I'm not allowed to stay in touch with them. And that's understood. But for me, I always want to know like more. I want to know more about their lives and how they've changed. But that's where it has to stop. And for me, it's hard separating between life and my students. But like you said, Paulette, it's everything when they hear you say, you matter. Oh, and that family that I'm not allowed to buy beds or mattresses or anything that has to do with home life. That is considered overstepping in the United States. But what they don't know, which is a loophole, is that if you contact a mattress company and you just need a donation sent to a certain row home, they could just be left at the front door. There's no name attached. There's nothing. So we don't know whose it is, but no one's claiming it. So it goes inside the house. No one ever owns it, no nothing. So we don't have to take responsibility, but at least that's the way of solving a problem. When a older kid says he doesn't have a place to sleep, a mattress. So like you said, it's just, I don't have to say anything to anyone. It's getting donation. It's left at the door, no name attached, no problem. That's how it's handled. So that's all. Like you said, you matter to me.
I love
the
that.
world, and I would be lost without you, as I would be lost
Yeah.
without you, especially going through this.
I think one of the things that I remember going back to, and it's not actually necessarily emoji related, but it's very much talking about character, was a child came here and they said, I'm going to take something when I leave. and I said, I'm sorry. And they said, I'm going to take something when I leave. And I said, oh, okay. He said, I always take something. I said, okay, do I get to choose what you take, or are you just going to take something that you fancy? And he said, no, I'll just choose. And I said, well, my husband's out there. You could take him. And he like laughed. He said, no, I don't want him. And I said, you're not taking my dog? And he was like, no, I'm not taking your dog. And I had a big black Labrador then. So I said, so what are you going to take then? He said, something I can sell. And that was the moment. That was the moment. And I said, why do you need money? He said, I don't need money. My mum needs money. I said, why does your mum need money? To buy food. And I said, does mum get money from the government? Do they help her? And he said, yeah, but it's not enough. And I said, okay, I hear you. So I said, I know that in my freezer, there's about 4 pizzas. Would that help? Could you take those if I don't look? He said, where are you going to leave them? I said, on the front door. He said, okay, right? And he took the 4 pizzas. And Charles was like, what the F? And I was like, don't worry about it. He said, that was my vegetarian mushroom, whatever it was. And I was like, too bad, pal. Go buy another one. So he took the pizzas, but he still had to do the taking thing. And I wasn't not going to let him do it because that was his thing. I'm not saying I'm encouraging stealing. Please don't think that's right, because I'm not saying it's right, but I understood the reason. He felt he could trust me with the reason. That's somebody who he comes to see once a week. Parents should be able to have much better conversations with their kids than I do for an hour once a week. My hours are never an hour anyway. They're always an hour and a half, nearly 2. But the point is, he stole Charles's pizza. I said he didn't steal it. I gave it to him. He took it. Charles was not happy. But the point is, when someone says that to you, read between the lines. That's what I'm saying. Even with all of this, it's all about reading between the lines. It's about understanding what's going on around. This is a great conversation starter for lots of education and for lots of parents and lots of people. But ultimately, it's much more than that. It's about us reading between the lines. Now, I believe Ennie has got something he wants to show us. So over to you, Ennie. I'm going to be quiet now.
Let me show you what's coming next on the emoji front.
I'm eating croissants and I love them.
I don't know about that. I feel like the croissant is something I don't do. I understood everything before the croissant.
I got the croissant with the 2 smiles and the heart, and it's not appropriate, at least from the urban mindset where I know. No, it's not how you. Should I keep my mouth shut? I'm not going to say it.
Go on, Ennie. What was that then?
I haven't. That's iPhone. So we're used to emojis one by one, aren't we? 3 emojis. Now they're going to start stacking them to have full conversations without us.
That's a threesome. That's a threesome.
Right.
I'm just saying.
I never want to hear that word again.
It's a threesome.
Is the croissant a threesome?
It's a threesome with the croissant.
Oh,
so that means
really.
Okay.
Oh, that
urban
is
girl.
Oh man.
I don't do them. I just know what they are.
I'll let Ben know. It's fine. Just as long as he knows we're not involved, it's fine.
My
He's
friends
in there
on my
studying,
YouTube.
bless him.
Paulette, you don't like croissants?
Not now.
My friends on my YouTube.
I thought
Thank
I did,
you so
but I
much.
might not now. Oh my gosh.
See,
the whole
and comment
thing
on
with
today's
this
video.
conversation, right?
Go on.
Sorry, did you say you got a video?
It's a like
Ennie?
and comment on today's video, please. Those on my YouTube channel. And just
Yeah,
remind
please
them.
do.
And subscribe
Yeah,
while you're
please do. Yeah, and subscribe. No, the last thing I would really like to, suggest to anybody, if you know any children, if you have friends who've got children, don't. We're not trying to scaremonger. We're not trying to make it into the kids are naughty or bad or anything. I don't know what I've done with the brightness on this damn computer, but I'm as bright as a button here. Hang on, let me just so I can turn myself down. I need dimming. Here we go. I'm dimmed. What I was going to say is that if you've learned nothing today, or if you've learned anything, please, pass it on. Let's just keep this for us, because that's the only way this is going to grow. The only way this information is going to become, other parents become aware. Are you eating croissant over there, Coach K? I think you are. I think
No,
she is.
I only like
that grin. I knew she was up to something.
It's got to be just individual.
Okay, it's on their own. I get it. But in all seriousness, I think it's just the most important thing we can take from all of this. I mean, this has gone viral because of the fact that it says the word sinister, the fact that it says scary, but it's real. There's no question. This is and these are actual things that are going on in our world, and we don't even know about it. It's a completely scary world out there. But what we need to do is not be frightened by it, but try to understand. Sharon said the word context, that's everything. If you get to see the conversation before and then you see something that's a little bit suspect or you're not sure about, have the communication. Can we just talk about this, please? The way that Coach K said, I pay for the phone. I want the code, right? And if you change the code or the password, and I find out you changed the password, you don't have a phone. So, there has to be respect. That's a rule. That's a boundary. That's respect. For me, the key thing is open dialogue. Just keep the dialogue open. Keep people talking. Keep people being able to have the willingness to ask questions, the willingness to learn and to grow, because I had no idea this was going on. The reason it's gone so viral is it's gone to every national newspaper, and parents are going, oh my goodness, we didn't know. Well, okay, now have the conversation. You don't have to go to the ceiling and panic. You don't have to start screaming and shouting. You just have to say, can we sit down and go through this? Because I had no idea, and see what your kids know of it. See what the children know. See what the children are using. Ask them, would you use this? Do you know what it means? And if they say, no, never seen it before, and you go, come on, I know what it means the real way, but now it's been swapped over into this. What do what does it mean? Like Alana said with the Urban Dictionary, the Urban Dictionary can be pretty gruesome stuff, but that is just their second language. That is the language they use to communicate as teenagers. That has been going on for at least the last probably 6, 7, 8 years, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The emoji dictionary is just too easy. It's, I want this drug, can you bring some round? Yeah, and that's all it is, 5 emojis, and it's a drug deal. And that's what's happening on Instagram and places like that.
Or an M&M. Anyone know if there's a Tic Tac or an M&M?
Do they show overdosing videos in the UK? I mean, it's a thing.
Do you know what?
I think that in some situations, maybe they need to see the result of popping all these pills, because it's like people want to help, but they don't want to show the dark side. They scared of the word sinister. You know what I'm saying? And the truth is, the world is full of good and bad. Like, that's the world. That's what balance looks like. And that's what free will is. So show them both sides. Don't just make it sweet because they think it's like it's candy, And I wanted to say real quick before we went, a very quick way to get trust is to do what they like. Don't necessarily be like, I'm the adult, we're doing this. It's like, find out, meet them where they are, because they're never going to listen to you. They'll use an adult. They'll say, well, I know you would give me this, so I'm going to tell you what you want to hear. And I'm going to give you enough to get what I want. And then we're going to go up and create a whole and go back to the real language. But when you meet them where they are and show up in their spaces, you'll learn more in that real time.
That I love that. I fully like, and again, like Paulette, when you were saying like a WH question, do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? Do you know what that means? I do it differently. Coach K, I love that, because I'll say, do me a favor. Like, I teach you during the day. I've had kids say to me, if you're working for fashion, why do you come here? And I say, because this is much more important to me than fashion. This is what makes my heart work. When I see your hearts working, this is what makes my heart work. But I have to say that I say to them, if I'm showing you something, you teach me. You are now my teachers, because that's where I'm falling behind. And I promise I won't use things inappropriately, just like I ask you do the same with me, but just teach me. So sometimes it's as easy as that. But when we see an X through like an M&M bottle or an X through a Tic Tac bottle, that's how we know they're gone. Or that's how the kids know they're gone. And unfortunately, there's no sad face. There's no tear.
No. I went to one of my kids that I was seeing, they told me that they were going to be playing in a rounders match, and nobody had ever gone to cheer them, ever. And I said, well, when is it and where is it? And they told me, and I said, if I'm not working and if I can drive, or, you know, Mr. Charles, they used to call him, if Mr. Charles can drive, then we'll come and watch. Okay. I think I was on 2 crutches at the time, so I think I wasn't very mobile. So Charles drove, and we both went, and we stood there and we cheered. And when they got around her, we were like hollering and cheering like crazy people. And then at the end, someone came over and said, "Are you their parents?" And he was like, "I wish." And it was the loveliest thing that could have been said. I wish, right? And I just came home, and on the journey home, I'm saying to Charles, could we perhaps foster? Do you think we? And he's like, no. You'd have 50 if we had the chance. You know, I'd fill the house. You know, that's the nature. But you know, just showing up for him meant so much. I got such respect from him and such love from him that it was just the loveliest relationship for the next 4 weeks that I had them before they had to stop. But you understand that that is all it took, was showing up. And like you said, meeting them where they are, where they're at with what they've got. That's all it takes. It doesn't have to be more than that. And with children, when it's your own children, you know, we really do just have to sit back and say to ourselves, you know, let's make sure we've got that open line of communication, that open dialogue, and let's please let them talk to you. Let them come to you, and if they don't come to you, go to them. And just as you just said, you know, can you show me, because I'm lost. I'm hearing about all this stuff. Is this real? Have you ever heard of it? You know, make it into a bit of a I'm having a thick moment, you know? I mean, that would work for Ben all day long. You know, you're the intelligent one, I'm the stupid one. Can we go through these emojis? What the heck do they mean? And then he'd be like, oh my God, do I have to? Like, he'd be horrified, right? But that would be fun. And I would learn that way. But when I showed him earlier, he was really, really sad that it's got to this level and this big. And so I think that what we need to do is just all of us just sit back, take a deep breath, and then say, okay, what do we need to do to make this work? How do we take this information back into the home? How do we make it work for our families? How do we open that dialogue with neighbors, with friends, with kids, just to make sure that we aren't missing something? And that's all I'd ask of everybody. Annie, would you like to wind it up?
So good luck with that. Comments, Miss Hallam, comments we have to go through. Henry, welcome. Michelle, see you as well. Glad you're here. Hopefully you're not in agony. So Jason says, I like that. Great info, Coach K. We agree. Christy, welcome as well. Thank you so much. Everyone loves Coach K. Coach K's share. So brilliant. And Jason's still astonished. He's astonished, surprised by the whole conversation and the fact that emojis actually mean something. What does Coach K say? Thank you. It's great to interact with you here. It's been a while. It has. We don't see Jason anywhere near often enough. Coach K thanking a few more people. Marsha. Long conversation today. I don't know all the meanings to the emojis. No one does, Marsha. No one knows all the meanings. As Amit said, there's more than 600 emojis out there. I don't know what 5 of them mean, let alone all of them. So you're not the only one, but no, Amit has got resources that can help, and Ilana's telling us the resources in the US as well.
You could also leave me a message. I'm at Alana Nawi. And I will, especially because I have lost friends from things like this. You can leave me a message or an easily translation of what you see, because I am surrounded by older kids who are using this as well as words, and people don't understand. And I do. It's kind of like second language to me. English, then emojis, and then Spanish. But anything that I could do to help, because I never want anyone to feel like they're lost or alone, and including adults. Sometimes if adults don't know how to spell, or they use the symbols also. So yeah, I know what those suckers mean. And I'm like, I'm just here. If someone needs help, I'm here.
Don't be using emojis. No, but I connected with Ilana. Say she knows a lot more than Paulette and I do. Paulette and I are really surprised. Great touch. Salwa, thanks for joining us. I'm so glad you're here. So sent a connection request. Sent connection request to Amit. Yeah, excellent. I'm glad you're here, my friend. If anyone else wants to connect with Amit, so we'll put the link in his profile link in the comments. So just go there after the event, and I'm sure we'll make it easy to find him on his channels.
He was on American TV tomorrow, but I can't remember when it was and what it was. Do you remember?
It said Fox 5, whatever that is. And Jason was asking, is that Washington DC or is that Washington?
I think it's Washington. State? Yeah.
Which one, state or DC? Ilana, you're on mute.
I'm trying to sign it so that way I'm not taking away your speech.
No, feel free.
It's Fox, Washington, but Fox goes all throughout the US, depending on your channel, cable. And he's also going to be doing an article for the New York Post. That's why I'm holding it up.
Wow.
And some things in the New York Post, it's not always considered the most credible paper. There's like more gossip in it, but you know what? It probably is speaking to the right population, because this is more the population that would read juice like this and need the emojis rather than the New York Times. And I look at it, I do, for gossip.
So you'll be amazed. In the UK, I haven't seen a paper for years, Paulette. I haven't seen a newspaper for years.
You know, he's in every red top.
Really?
Yesterday, on Sunday and Saturday, it was in every red top. Yeah, which is like the gossip rags. Yeah. But you know what? This is why he's hitting the right.
Like agenda. Like you said. Oh, wait, Paulette, we have a latency response, so I don't want to cut you off.
It's all right. I mean, we're used to it now. It's fine. Ilana.
I haven't been here for. Okay, I just want to say so the Post, as long as you have a subscription, as well as the New York Times, it does come on my computer. Like you said, you love hand and written because that's the best way to learn, because it's motoric while you're reading. Or I need the paper in hand. I need the tactile. Even if it's like a joke or a lesser whatever paper, I need it in hand to take it seriously. So we also have it on the computer also, but I like having it in hand. And then that's no more interjecting.
Good on you. Like I say, in the UK, we don't tend to see papers very often. I don't anyway. I don't know what I used to ever see it for it.
Only at the garage.
Yeah.
Only at the garage. There's thousands of them that no one buys.
No, Jason says, how can adults teach what they don't know or not do themselves? It's true.
Yeah.
So I think when you talk about parenting and care earlier, Paul, I guess the truth is some parents don't have good parenting skills. And when Coach Kerr and I were talking about character, a lot of that comes down to modeling what your kids see. And many parents sadly don't have enough to show their kids the right ways. And all we can do is try, Paulette. One person at a time is what we said for today's event, right? One person at a time.
And it does take a village, it doesn't, it's not one person, if they find one person they can trust, they build on that. That's how, that's why we always say it takes a village, because, they just need to have somebody they can trust,
Yeah.
Doesn't have to always be a parent.
As Lana says, it could be the school teacher. I think the school's got they got a role to play as well.
Yeah.
Henry, I don't know how. We will try and decode this long message. Go on, Paula. Good luck.
One of the many dangers of our new post-truth world culture mantra, "Our language has no truth," is that our kids can smell that all adults are always lying to them, about life's important stuff. The automatic no truth barrier forces our kids to seek some sort of backstory with their friends so they can be cool and they're in the know. We can fix this vicious cycle of pre-programmed language failure by restoring the power of truth to our language for free. skmri.org. No.
So that's
I love his comment. I just wanted to come off mute for that.
Go for it.
Well, no, I just said I love his comment because I think that adults really are so traumatized from their own childhoods that we sometimes try to over shelter the truth from kids to the point that they don't get the actual truth because they're trying to muddle through all the fluff. And at the end of the day, them and you both will appreciate the truth in the end, because if you say, hey, don't do that because if you do that, this will happen, the chances of them not doing it and not stressing you out are likely, you know. And so it's for the truth. When they say the truth will set you free, I really believe that goes across the board. And even in spite of how it makes you feel, I think that people need to get to the point of, we didn't feel good all the time. Nobody said the truth feels good. And I think that for some reason people think that equate love to a good feeling because it's been so highly romanticized. But love hurt. It can't even hurt if it ain't love. If I don't know you, you can't hurt me. But if I love you, you can tear me to pieces. And so I think we have to remember that sometimes the truth hurt, but in the end it heals.
Yeah, it's showing our kids the truth, as you're both saying, you and Henry. So I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Jackie says, great session, Paulette. Ignore me. Forget that. So Arlene says, great being here. Awesome information. Marsha, you're in the studio. You say, I'm going to give you the mic in a second. If you don't mind waiting.
Oh, well, it's so great to see everyone. And, sorry I wasn't here. I've been popping in and out. And I'm actually feeling a bit emotional. When I just took a tough call right now, and I'm so sorry, guys. I wasn't going to come on. I was just going to go through the emotions, but sometimes they just want to come out. There's a young man who reached out to me, and he's been really heavy on my heart. And we just got off the phone, and he was sharing that he's already lost a couple of close family members in 2025, at least 6 members. And I was hearing Coach K speak about love, and I know we're speaking about emojis and communication, but really the importance of just being there for people when they need us. So I'm here just to support you, Paulette, with everything that you do for all of us on a daily basis. I know we don't talk every day, but I know that I listen when I can, when I'm not on the go. And just know that what you share, I do use that in my work, my everyday work. Yeah, and then the emojis, I have a teenager, so I've been getting much more closer to my son as he's in his teenage years. And recently we just took a trip this Saturday afternoon, and then yesterday we were out and just spending time with him and enjoying being a mom. I've been working nonstop since he was 2. Since I was pregnant with him, actually, as a single mom. And, I think just anytime I hear Paulette speak, I do get emotional, but today I'm just feeling really emotional, and I do want to apologize for that. But
No.
I appreciate the conversations, Paulette, that you have with Annie and everyone that comes and shares, because we all take something here away, whether it's in our personal life or our work that we do. So thank you.
I think, Marsha, the reason you're emotional is because you care. Because if you didn't care, right, these things would wash over you. And as soon as emotions are touched, and I'm touched by yours, as you can hear in my voice, right? I only have to hear that you're in a state and I'm in a state, because that's, if you're sick, I'm sick. I'm very good like that. But the thing that I wanted to say is it's completely natural for you to react that way, because if you didn't, you wouldn't be able to do your job, right? If you didn't let those emotions out, you wouldn't be able to take the next call and the next call and the next call. Because let's be honest, right now, that's how it is. Every call is a nightmare. It's someone's nightmare. No one's phoning you up and going, hey, Martha, I'm having a great day. Life's wonderful and I'm rolling in cash. And, I ate 16 meals today just because I could. That's not the phone calls you're getting, right? And you're not dealing with that end. You're dealing at the coalface. And it's a tough place to be. So you let those blinking emotions out, because otherwise they'll eat you alive. Okay. So that's Auntie Paulette's story for the day. And also regarding the emojis, this was not ever meant to frighten parents or say, you're not doing a good job because you don't know about them. But if you're aware, if you're just aware, you're just that little bit more knowledgeable. That's all it really was. It shook me. It shook me to the core. But then I realized it was in all the red tops over here. Then it was in the Telegraph. Then it was in the Times. Then it was in the New York Times. And I was like, okay, this is something we need to really seriously talk about, because obviously it's a lot bigger than just somebody saying this is what's going on and it's an underworld kind of words. It's real, right? So that was why it was brought up. But, we're all talking about communication, and we're all talking about finding the one person you can talk to. And if you are his one person that he can talk to, he's going to pour his heart out to you because you're listening and because you're validating that phone call. So you cry your eyes out. You know that you're validated and you know you're loved by all of us, right? Collectively. So you pour your love into him and we'll pour our love into you. Cups full. Okay? You never cup half empty. Your cup's always full. Because as you're emptying it, we're all filling it. Okay?
Yeah.
Does that make
so
sense?
Yeah, of course it
Yeah.
makes sense. Of course it makes sense.
Total sense. Total
Yeah,
sense.
Good.
Total sense.
You see, I will say that I think this is part of a bigger conversation, Paulette. More about
Yes.
internet safety in earnest. I know we touched on it before when Elena was here. I say, but say what I'm taking away from today is that there's a lot more that we need to know to make. And I think I love. Arlene's comment, so the privacy on the phone for kids is not effective parenting. I think Amit said, we wouldn't let our kids walk the streets at night to know how dangerous they are. So why let them walk the web? And I think that's a big issue that we need to deal with as parents, really. We need to
I think it's the closed door thing, Annie. I not to interrupt, but the one thing that I have said to so many parents, and I stand by it, is if the door's closed and they're not just had a shower, they're getting dressed for bed or whatever, the door shouldn't be closed. If there's an opportunity to do your homework at the dining room table, then do it at the table, right? If you had dinner, do it after dinner. If you can have that, that laptop in an accessible place, why wouldn't you, right? The point is, there's headphones. They're not going to interrupt anyone. Their lessons aren't going to get, you're not interrupting them. They're not interrupting you. And as you walk past the screen, you get to take a casual look, right? But if it's hidden in their bedroom and the door's closed, I'm sorry, that's not good parenting. We have to be better than that. and we have to stand up to our teenagers and say, no, that's not
Mm.
how it's going to be. Because
Yeah.
I wouldn't let you walk the street at night.
Mm.
You know, I wouldn't let you walk the street at night because we love you and we care about you. And there are risks out there. And all we're trying to do is protect you. And if they say, but I want my door shut, blah, 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 then there's a reason. Why do you need your door shut? Tell me the reason. If you can give me one good reason, then I'll shut up about it. And they won't be able to give you a good reason, because the reason they want the door shut is because they're doing something they shouldn't be, or they're not working, or they're looking at something they shouldn't be looking at, right? And especially, dare I say, as hormones rage, you know? So that's just something to think about. But I think we should have, perhaps the next room will be on more internet safety, just generally, or we talk about just what do we do when it goes wrong? How do we bring it back? Because that's one of the biggest questions I get asked is, how do you reparent after it's all gone to a screaming match, the laptop's gone across the room and no one's talking to each other?
Leave
Right?
it for 10 minutes, set the timer. When it's ready, pick it up and start off with base one. Let it go, let it go, let it go.
Yeah, go
I
again.
have a client actually with fashion, which is so funny. But I have to tell you, I haven't been on any of these things. So Martha, I'm doing this to you with sign language. So I'm like, I love you. Yes, because we've all been there. And like Coach K said, like when you're honest about things and you cry, like you're crying, I've cried hysterically when I've had to deal with my mom. So I just want to say thank you all so much, because it does make the heart heal much better.
I'm getting better at that.
So, and you know, like how I
Say
feel.
that you have, Colette. Say that you have.
Yeah, no, this is the small heart, and then I do this. I'm like,
Where's
listen,
the
I
love support
love
machine
you.
for Colette's heart?
This is my entire heart. Okay, so I do legitimately say no bullshit. Sorry about the curse. I do adore you in every which way, because the world is so much better when there are positive people. There just need to be more. And so if more people need to learn emojis, so we learn them. And if love breaks down, like you said, Coach K, because we've all had that and trauma, day by day, we do just a step, a half a step, a breath, or even just, I don't know, listen to music for a half a minute, because that's what I've needed.
I agree.
All you can ever do in life is one step at a time. One step at a time.
One step at a time.
Keep going.
As Keith says, nice one, Ilana. That's the English thing to say, right?
You know, I'm cheering for. Okay. Bye.
What's misandry?
Misandry.
Yeah. Henry says,
That's
what's
the new
about
one on
ending?
me.
Should I look on Google?
Steady.
Okay, let's see what misandry is. I have no
Henry,
idea.
what's misandry? I need to know what that is.
Misandry definition.
Dislike
of contempt of, or contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against men, the male sex. Right. Okay. It's a weird one, Henry. I don't know what the ladies think. How do I
tell me what it is again?
I think there's something that's causing men, young boys, to follow Andrew Tate. You know, I was talking to my son.
Yes.
I talked to my son yesterday, and I was saying to him, "How can it be the 80-20 rule?" Because he's like, "Yeah, that's what I'm like." No, that's not what it is. That's ridiculous. The 80-20 rule basically is the inside way of thinking that 80% of women date 20% of men, and the rest of the men are useless and never going to get a date. I'm saying that's not how it works. It's a crazy way to think the world works that way. That's misandry and at the extreme, right? Where men feel like they really are being wronged and written out of existence. Have I missed it? No, they wouldn't like how we just
the
like
problem
no.
we have, Penny, is there's so much misogyny about. There's been and has been for years. years and years and years in certain industries, in the certainly in the film industry, in fashion industry, so many of the industries.
Discrimination is what it's called. Let's not dress it up. Discrimination is going on for
Okay,
years.
all right. There's been so much discrimination against women, and now women are standing up and going, "We're not having that." Was the Me Too type movement, which kind of kicked it all off. And then men are going, "We're not having that. We're not having you having a voice. We're going to become all misogynistic and get all angry about it and stir the pot a bit." And you get people like Andrew Tate and the many followers who unfortunately get all this crap on the internet, and the kids sit and watch it and go, "Yeah, I'm going to be like him. I'm going to be one of them." And you're like, "Oh, why would you do that?"
Find
But
a
they
brain,
do.
please.
They find something from being naughty. I think they know deep down. I really believe this, that they know deep down it's wrong because they've got character, like Coach K says, they've got character. They've been taught character, and they go, "Oh, well, this is interesting. This is different. Haven't been taught this. I'll follow that." And I believe that's what's creating the interest. It's going against what you've got at home or what the norm is. And that's why, I mean,
I think going against the status quo, I think this to me, this explains some of the what's the word, conspiracy theories that you hear a lot of, and some just misinformation full stop. Henry calls it a no truth language. I'm saying people say something just in the hope that they might be right. They might know something that we don't know. But it's all a guess, and they know that they don't know they're right. And it's just, Coach K, you're thinking. I can see you thinking. Your mouth is moving when you're talking.
Because I came my brain. Because my 16-year-old, he was following Andrew Tate as well, and I saw him repost something about it. And so instead of me saying you can't follow him, he's a bad person and all of that or whatever, I asked him, I called him and I said, "Hey, let's talk. What is it that you like about this guy?" Because one perception, as well as everything that come out of someone's mouth, isn't a one size fit all. And you'll be surprised that because these kids have so much technology, they don't necessarily think the way we do. They don't necessarily listen to 100% and say, "Well, because you believe all of this, I'm going to follow you on all of this." So when I asked my son about the whole Andrew Tate thing, it was some business points that came up that he said, "Well, I like this and this." And so I asked more questions, because when we talk about the phrase like monkey see, monkey do, I heard this thing on something I was listening to yesterday about theology and whatnot. And it talked about a mom that was on drugs that was pregnant with twins. And one twin grew up 35 years later and he strung out on drugs. And he said, "Why'd you do it?" He said, "Because I saw my mom doing drugs." And so he goes to the other twin and said, "How'd you get into your profession and what do you do?" He says, "Well, I'm a drug therapist." And he said, "Well, why did you get into it?" And he said, "Because I saw my mom doing drugs. I saw what it did to my family and I wanted to do something about it." And so when we talk about how's your day and having them to paint the picture of what it looks like, when they follow people that we disagree with, it's important to ask those questions. Well, what about it do you like? Because that's just like, and this is not a political thing, but like when it comes to when you used to thinking like Democrats and Republicans, like things that are black and white, I think we have to get to the point again where we think again that we don't follow another human 100%. You go through and you read different things and you say, "Well, I like this, but I don't agree with this," because we have all gotten a chance to know each other over the last year or so, and that doesn't mean we agree with 100% of what one another says. We just respect each other. And so I think that when we ask these kids questions and really come into their world, we actually find out so much, because there are some guys that would have been considered misogynistic on the internet where not everything they said was a bad thing. Sometimes stuff hit a nerve because it's true. And so we have to still go back and look within and say, why does this even make me feel this way? And what do I have around this? Because it's not what they're saying is necessarily untrue, it's their truth. And so Andrew Tate, 9 times out of 10, has some sort of a mommy issue. My son that was following Andrew Tate does not live with me, which indicated to me he might have a little mommy issue. So I was like, yeah, you're going to go to therapy and we'll keep talking, but you're not going to pop up with mommy issues and mess up somebody else's life, or she got to heal you later. So now that I see these identifying things, I'm not going to say you can't watch them. You're going to do what you want to do. You just ain't going to tell me. So you go ahead and watch them. Let's continue to have conversations around the thing that's important to you and allow me to help you, because here's some evidence that I've done what you're looking to do, and continue to bring me what you find, and let's go through it together. And I don't do it that often. He's not calling that often, but it gives us something to bond over that he cares about, versus me saying, I want to talk to you about this, because my oldest son gave me constructive criticism that every day living with me was like a life lesson. And so I'm like, I can see that. I can actually see that. I concur. How's your life? And so with him being
Didn't I
okay
do
with
well?
it, but I can tweak it, like I can take the criticism too and saying, well, what would make it better? Because we got to get along with one another. I just can't make you come to my world all the time and expect you to be 100 with me. It's not going to happen. I got to really come to your world and do what you like. My son played video games. Don't nothing about me say a game. And I'm like, you want to teach me how to play video games? I don't care about that game. But I'm going to do it for him occasionally, because I just want to be a part of his world and I want to know what's going on. And if there's something I see wrong that I could intercede and slide a resource in there, I'm not going to ask him. I'm just going to do it.
So the other day, Kanye West was all over the news and all over the everything. And I was like, well, what is this about this guy? Because I don't really know enough about him. Oh my gosh. I went down a rabbit hole. I went down the Kanye West rabbit hole, Annie. I needed to be pulled out by my feet first. Honestly, I was deep diving into the Kanye West rabbit hole.
You
And
should have
then
called
I
me.
was like,
I'll tell you next time. Don't do it. Ignore Kanye, whatever his
I
name is.
needed
Yay.
rescuing. My feet
Ignore
were
him.
stuck out the top of it. And I was like, how do I get out of this mess? And the more I read, the more I was like, how did nobody see this? How did nobody see this? For how long? And it's like, yeah, I was like, bang, my head was blown. And that's when you realize how the Tate guys and the Tate brothers are getting involved and chatting with him. And I was like, oh my Lord, what do we need to do to make anybody see that this is a maniac? Well, actually nothing. Just watch him for 10 minutes. He does it all for you, right? But not me,
he's
hour and a quarter.
another one with those mommy issues. He lost his mom, and he probably never went to therapy, and it's coming out.
Yeah. 100%, I would say it's that.
I don't know. My son is he likes Kanye. I'm just like, what the hell do you see in that Muppet? I
will admit, I love his first album. Like him as an artist when he first came out and first got on the scene. When he first came out, he's really a genius when it comes to music.
Don't use that word.
And as a producer. Yeah, but the thing is, you have to remember that people get their way through a process of some sort of something happening, and it doesn't remove the genius that was there at the beginning. He's just not using it for good. Like we all have free will to take the immense amount of power that we all have to be persuasive in ways, and we can choose. I can be manipulative. I could have a mansion if I really wanted one right now, I could use my power of persuasion and use it for bad, or I could choose to keep my integrity intact. And some people get so hurt and do not take the necessary steps to heal that they just go around hurting people. And that's what I see when I see him now. He's no different than like a Black Trump in terms of like I'm going to make everybody suffer. I'm angry. I'm mad. Nobody cares about me. Instead of doing the inner work, people like that take it out on other people. And it's like,
That's
but that's a
exactly what
really
I would
hurt
say.
individual that was somebody's kid that ain't been loved probably in a long time. And if nobody eventually see these people as people, they will never heal and they will never stop. And so we all have to get to a point that even when we see somebody gone that far left, like even when I see people that are homeless, they're not all born with mental illness. You lose your mind when you lose your world around you. When you lose everything that matter to you, your mind ain't the same. You're not walking around buttoned up and acting like it's okay. You get to a breaking point where people really think like this person is nuts. And some people that don't emotionally mature, they act out, lash out in very negative ways because that's all they know. That boy from Chirac. I grew up down the road from there, and them people, not them people, because that could come off a little messed up, but coming from St. Louis, which is known as the murder capital of the United States, and being 4 hours away from Chicago that they call Chirac, I understand certain things. It does not make it right, but I get it. I understand that people get that way. They don't wake up like that. That it comes over time.
Yeah. It's true.
But
It's
when
true.
you've got an audience, when you've suddenly got responsibility, this is what I think. When you have responsibility, along with responsibility should come a helper, a therapist, a counselor, somebody who can sit with you and go, listen, you know, you're great at whatever it is you're doing. Your music's great or your politics are great or whatever. But we need to work on a few other things because there's a few things that aren't quite right. Okay. And that might be the mummy issues. That might be the whatevers. But you need to be able to break down the problems to fix them before they start absolutely spouting all this crap to all of our kids.
Because
Who
it's hundreds
suddenly
of
become
thousands, it's millions of
changed.
people that follow them. So it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
It's responsibility. They've got a responsibility and a duty of care. And we as parents have a duty of care to say, he needs therapy. Right? So
yeah, but do
we
you know
should,
how therapy, like in the Black community, people ran for like to hear the word therapy mean you crazy. That's how that's taken, and not just Black communities, but disenfranchised communities.
Hispanics.
Like we need new systems across the board because we live in such a new world.
Can we just call it help? Can we just call it help?
Well, yeah.
Can we just call it help?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know, when you say that too, like just kind of going off what you just said, Coach K, when you actually share your personal story that you've gotten therapy or mental health support, then you create a bond and a connection to, like I do that with my members to encourage them to get help. Like I'm going to encourage this gentleman to get therapy. You know, he's put off therapy for several years, multiple years. He has traumatic childhood trauma that he hasn't dealt with. And he's going around having kids and being in different relationships that are toxic. And it's like, it will show up either in your personal life or in your career. It will affect your job. I've seen it like so many times in my corporate world, how people, when they don't deal with their trauma, including myself, when we don't deal with our trauma, how it affects us in the workspace. Like just right now, like, you know, I got emotional because it's like you feel people's pain and you kind of think of some things and you're like, oh my gosh, it hits them.
It take you back.
Yeah.
You know what it's like. You literally know what it's like. So now you see them as a human. And that's the thing that Paulette and I were just talking about yesterday. Like you have to get back to, people have to get back to saying, especially boomers and up. And I'm gonna just call it out because I know so many that's on LinkedIn that'll see this. So I realize I wake up to hit triggers some mornings. And so like boomers in particular and religious people, my God, will point the finger and say, well, that person and they looking at them like it's worse than me, so they blah 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 blah. And it's like, no, that's not what we do. If we good people don't just do XYZ. We see humans as humans and say that person need help. That person must have really went through something. Like, there's not a day that I drive and I go by homeless people and think a homeless person and say, who is that person for real? That's somebody something. Who is that person for real? What's their story? What's behind them? Because they something got so hard that they gave up, and this is their reality now. It don't have to be, but to sometimes see a person make that person make a U-turn, because 9 times out of 10 when they moving that reckless, the first thing you will hear is, but don't nobody care about me. That's one of the first things that will fly out their mouth. Sometimes just going around and seeing people helps them.
But, do you know, I remember being 17 years old. No, 18. I'm going to lie. I was 18. I had just enough money for the gas, and I had just enough money for a packet of chips on the way home. And I went into the chip shop and I asked her to make 2 half packets. And she said, why are you having 2 half packets? And there was a homeless man sitting on the floor outside the chip shop. And she said, are they for him? And I said, yes. She said, they won't let him in. I said, well, even if he's got money for chips? She said, yeah, but you know. So I said, well, look, can I pay for my bag of chips, but can you split it in 2? And she gave me 2 full portions for the price of 1. And I put lots of salt and vinegar and a fork in each. And I went and sat on the floor outside. I had a very tight skirt on and high heel shoes. And I sat on the floor and we sat and we had a chat, me and him, with our packet of chips, right? Which is probably not the most ladylike thing I've ever done in my life. But and he put a newspaper down for me to sit on, which was so sweet. And I was thinking, I'm going to have a newspaper print over my bum. But then I thought, I can't say anything because it was a nice gesture. So I was talking to him, and he had a dog, and the dog was getting a chip, and I was having a chip, and we were sitting here eating all of it. I mean, that's probably the dog's dinner. I don't know. But anyway, the point of the story is he said to me that I was the first person that had spoken to him that day. And I was the only person ever to sit next to him. And he said, we're probably both going to get moved along in a minute. And I said, not when they see me in my suit. I said, I'll tell him I'm a social worker. And he burst out laughing. He goes, I've never had a social worker. And he's like laughing at me. He had like 3 teeth and it was horrendous. And I was like sitting there chatting to him. And I just felt like every time I walked past, he'd be sitting outside the chip shop. If I had money, he had chips, right? Not with me by the side of him every night. But, you know, I just think if I can do that, the biggest scaredy pants on the planet can sit by the side of a homeless guy and share my chips, then everybody can do their bit, right? And it goes back to that word that we've talked about so many times. It's about communication, it's about love, and it's about doing the extra, going the extra mile. And that's even going right back to our very start of our conversation with emojis. It's going back, doing that extra bit of work and understanding what it's all about.
Yeah, look.
That's the program, really.
Yeah, no, so what? I say thank goodness, but I've never watched it. I probably will never watch it either. But that's all right. That's all right with me. You know, look, I mean, Henry is saying, you know, some of these issues that we have is says we're all communicating just fine about all of the things that we don't understand about each other. Our new no truth language automatically cuts out the possibility of real trust, which can be painful. The parents are often communicated through violence, very effectively communicated, albeit highly inappropriate. You know, look, I think I take that just meaning that there's a disconnect between generations. It feels like to me. You know, Coach K, you mentioned it earlier. I don't think. Maybe because I'm 50, I'm saying I don't think the world's going to change. I think the kids are going to have to learn to be adults in our world.
I don't. I think that you real outdated. I do, and I love you. I think you're hella dated though, and I think that you like your world, and it's okay with you, and I don't think nothing's wrong with that. But I think the best thing that ever happened to me in disguise was that I was forced to go work with kids because it enlightened me to how much I can learn from them. And it's like I feel like the older generations have gotten tired and some might say lazy, because you did have to work in a way that younger generations do not, and that's just the truth. And so people can be tired. People can be lazy. People might need that right now, But I also ultimately believe that what we believe is the world we are going to see. And if you think that it's not going to change, then it won't. But if you think that you can be the change, then you can. And so it just really depends on the perspective that you put out there and execute. Because you could say, I think ain't nothing gonna happen, and you could really not do shit. And it won't. It'll stay the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But sometimes too, it's fear. Sometimes fear gets in the way, because I've seen this with a lot of the elders that I work with. They are scared to try something new. I mean, I have members that are using flip phones, that they're, still, and I have a hard time maneuvering those flip phones to help them. So how do we close that gap? How do we encourage them to look beyond that?
You're the perfect person.
Some of them, they want us to sit there and show them. I mean, I tell you, it's been hours.
Yeah,
we go
that's
through
what
the
it takes, though. They need somebody to hold their hand.
Yeah, but sometimes they just stop trying because it just gets so frustrating, and I see the frustration. My mom is one of them, where they're just like, no, I want my other phone back. So it's like I want things to just be easy, not to be difficult, to be able to move through the world. It's okay. It's okay. We're all different, and it's okay. So I just wanted to share that before I have to go. But I love you all very much, and I thank you all so much, and I will see you all soon.
Check your inbox, Martha.
See you soon. Take care, lovely.
Okay.
Hi, Marsha.
Thanks
for joining us. Great to have you here.
My heart. There we go. Look.
What's that dodgy heart from Paulette, as always? The bit that beats is dead. It's gone already, right? What's skeleton egg? What's skeleton egg? Do you know?
I don't know.
I will tell you because Michelle says anyone apart from those who in the 80s don't know what the campaign about skeleton egg. She says,
no,
this is your brain.
Oh, I remember it now.
This is your brain on drugs, eggs frying in a skillet. Spoiler,
I
you learned another new one.
that one.
Yay. Look, only a couple more to go. Dr. CJ, thank you for joining us. Thank you. I'm glad you joined us in the end. It says, Paulette, I love how your picture in color came out. You're gorgeous. You can say that. No one else can, so it's fine. Michelle, I'll connect you in Alana. I'll connect you in a group chat. So to make it easier for you to connect. Only a couple more to go.
And Jason, you like being a sweetheart. Do we just have to call you that more?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
He's gonna start being nice.
No, don't do that. No.
Don't be nice to me. Can't cope.
I tell you. That's like throwing the horns and everything. No,
we're gonna make all your words start sparkling with positivity.
I can do that, but that's it's all in context, Coach K. It's all in context, as you well know, right? And look, I think Michelle's agreeing with you and Jason. Much willing to open to other methods and approaches, able to commit to self-education and seeking more and accepting more no for the answer. Validation of oneself. I'd love to agree with you, Coach K, that the world would bend to our kids. The world didn't bend to us. So I don't
No,
know
I
how.
don't think it should be for the kids. That's not what I was implying at all. Because I think we have to parent the kids for the world. So I agree with you if that's what you were saying.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it starts with character and parenting, and communication follows because you taught them that from day one.
That, and even if you didn't, it's okay to jump in because like a lot of parents say, I didn't think about that, and it's like, okay, well, what interests your kid the most?
Now.
Go do that with them now. Start now.
Yep.
And I just get nervous when I hear words that say the world isn't going to change, because the world is dead ass the shittiest that it's been ever right now. So I need the world to change because it's too much negative. It's not even balanced right now. It's too much
okay, hold on. See, I love talk like that. I don't really. I'm saying, is the world really worse now than it was in the 30s?
Hell yeah, because I wasn't there.
How?
Number one,
because you weren't there. I'm saying, look, I hear this all the time. I hear there's more crime. There isn't. There's less crime.
And let's be very clear. My grandma was born in 1924. That was very much so an enslavement period for blacks.
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't want 1930 again.
The world was right, and it was. Look, Victorian era was the worst time in humanity. Living in mud was the worst time ever. Today is a glorious day for humanity, where life is glorious.
The scary part about today, to me, is that we can't see what we're fighting. At least back then, when in times of war and things was going on, you were fighting people and you knew what was going on.
You knew why. But you knew why you were fighting. Now, nobody knows who they're fighting or for what reason.
Now it's an invisible fight because most of it is mental, financial, and systematic. And so you're fighting air and hoping that you hit the bullseye where you take this monster out, because you don't even know which way to swing. We getting our butt whooped by ghosts or something, Get screwed with the bills, get screwed with the weather, and you can't do nothing about the bills or the weather.
It's true. It's true.
Well,
Michelle,
I heard somebody make a kind of a humorous. It was supposed to be humorous. It was relatively humorous, but they said, and this isn't meant to be political, so don't anyone get upset with me, but they said it used to be that Putin was the scariest man on the planet because he had the buttons, right? Now we've got two of them have got the buttons, right? And we don't know which one's more scary. And it was meant as a skit, but I was watching it going, there's a lot of sense in what you just said, If you take the humor out of it, it's scary as hell.
It's like it's the humor. You find the humor in the truth because it's the truth, and you like to keep from crying. You just gotta laugh because it's like it's funny because damn, it's true. What else can we do? And it's like, but the thing is, we can do certain things in our individual worlds, because realistically, I mean, God willing, I might, but my plan, it's not like I'm trying to change every single human being in the world, but every person that I choose to connect and interact with is ultimately my world. And so I do try to be intentional about the people that I take and spend time with, and how I choose to show up for people, and how I expect people to show up in return for me. Because just like the free will that kids have with, like we teach them what these emojis mean, and if you get this, how to react, we as adults have to be more conscious about who we connect with, because toxic language and adult conversations is just as bad as the messed up emojis.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Sure.
Look, all we can do, as Michelle says, is learn, and so our kids will learn too.
Yeah, we learn together. We gotta keep learning together, and it keeps you youthful.
Learning together, growing together, communicating together. It's the together bit that's important.
No, there's love to Marsha, so hopefully she watch the replay and see. There's many comments.
She will.
In case you're wondering. And there are other ones. Look, there'll probably one more after this, Paulette. Henry says, thanks to everyone for a great show on a super important topic. The secret emoji, so backstory language that keeps kids, that kids use to cope with the pre-programmed pain that's built into our adult post-truth world. Look, the world's always been painful for kids, if you ask me. I know this is probably the last one I'm going to give you, Paulette.
I thought we did that one.
No, we did misandry.
Yeah, we did misogyny.
A couple of other ones. Misogyny.
Go on then.
I think it's just.
What is misogyny? Misogyny is anti-female.
Yes, it's prejudice.
It's saying that females should be back to how they were in the 50s. They should be seen and not heard, cook the meals, wash the clothes. It's all about pushing down the female.
Second-class citizens, which just is intolerable and will never hold water again. Thank goodness. So I think today's a better day than we've ever had. Did that explain it satisfactorily, Henry? I know there's a couple more comments from Henry. So, Jay, thank you so much. Extra bits in the beginning will show up any potential future miscommunications. I agree, Jay. I agree.
Absolutely.
It's like good parenting, right? That's what it comes down to in the end. And that's what relationships are. So Henry says, so true, Coach K. This is not the reality for everyone to live in. Annie will find out in the hard way when he's 80. Henry, yeah. I've got kids, so I live in I see the world of kids already, so it's all right. So by 80, hopefully, I'll be gone.
Oh my God, Annie!
Don't say that.
I wish I could thump you right now.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
You just flicked his head. That will do.
I know.
Flick him on the head.
80 is enough. Look, no. For me, there's an important point. The point is this. I think by the time you get to 75, it's a different lifetime to the one that you were born in.
Annie, that's giving me 15 years. Bugger off.
You can live as long as you like. I don't mind. What I don't want to see flying cars. I don't want to see AI when it becomes really AI. And AI today is not AI. Well, AI is when there's machines really thinking. But I want to
see the iRobots, Annie?
No.
They're already here at Amazon.
Yeah, but not one I can fly myself to get around in. I'm not going to. I remember.
Do you know the scary one? It's when people are buying their partners. That's when we'll know we're in trouble.
That's pretty bad. I agree. Look, my wife's mother, I think she gave up the ghost when she was, I think, 75. Everything turned on her. We're talking. Everything turned on her. Literally, she couldn't cross the road because the cars were too fast. The internet was coming in. And she was like, I just can't cope with any of this.
But she didn't stay on LinkedIn working technology either.
No, she didn't. She departed the world.
Like I'm just saying, don't make her story your story. You actually,
I don't want to.
You live in a computer, dude.
Yeah, but that's. I live in a computer, but I don't. Computers.
You live in the corner.
Annie, do you know you have the ability to control the world if you just put your mind to it for as much as you spend time on a computer?
Yes, I do.
You really could be the man. Them corsical courses where you do AI 20 minutes a day. Like when I did security interview.
I control my world and I make sure humans do what I do in my business.
I'm gonna spread some rainbows over there.
Control mine.
Eh? What did you say, Paulette?
I said you control mine too. You tell me where I got to be, when I've got to be there, what time I've got to be there.
I press buttons. My friends, look, interesting conversation. We could be here for another 3 hours, but we don't work for 2 hours.
You know we love you, Annie.
Yeah. Look, and I love you too. So
emoji, but no aubergine.
No emojis.
I'm off the croissant. French fries for me.
No croissant. No croissant.
Use words, people. Look, my friends, thank you so much for spending your evening with us. Paulette and I
I
are back
love you.
tomorrow.
Bye
We're
bye.
back. We're back tomorrow twice, right, Paulette?
Oh
And
yeah, I forgot.
I'm back 3 times
twice.
tomorrow. So I'm back 3 times. I got
Am I
Africa
back 3
Business
times?
Talks.
Am I?
Africa Business Talks,
Oh.
and then no, that's not you. No, you're coming to our new dyslexia
Oh,
conversation,
Michelle's
right?
new room. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
and Lisa's. Yeah. Of course.
And then Lisa's
Of
menopause
course,
room
sir.
later. So thank you, everyone.
All right. Take care. Thank you, everybody.
Go to the comments and respond and connect with people there, please. Paulette has to spend hours doing that sometime. Respond to all the comments. Good luck, Paulette. Yeah, Coach K, we miss you. You don't see you often enough, my friend.
I'm coming back.
I see her.
Look, you've made the show today, so that cheers me up.
I'm actually planning to do interviews that I can just set in my content calendar to release on Sundays, so that I can work my way back.
Yeah, I mean, on all these platforms, you can run your interviews like it's a live event. You can say, you can record the video and then stream it essentially.
Yeah, that's basically what I'm gonna do. Record it on LinkedIn and then just throw it over to YouTube.
Oh well, no, thank you so much, everyone that's joined us. Thank you, Paulette. Get a nice rest, Paulette. Otherwise, that'll be done for tomorrow, will you? Oh wow. So bye to all of you. Bye, everyone.
My voice is already going.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
All right, take care, everyone.
She's success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or rum. But she's success with Global.Media.